Alrighty. We in here? We live? Welcome, welcome. How's everybody doing? Good afternoon, chroniclers, indeed. Get on with it. We begin. Yeah, seriously, I've been in here for like 5 minutes trying to get everything ready, make sure it's all working good. Can you guys hear me okay? I'm not super fluent in streaming, so if stuff is going wonkers, let me know. Grinding all over my archive right now. Aren't we all? Aren't we all? All right. Let's see really quick. Okay, I think we'll just get started out the gate with SpireHelm Chapter 1, which I'm super hyped about. Been playing this for a while and didn't think it would be something that would work until just recently. And so happy to be here and kick it off. Basically, this Chapter 1 that I'm talking about will be something of a realm event. So imagine essentially a real-time event for the canon, the history of the realm. And so there will be, going forward, different chapters that me and others, part of the community, will release from the archive, and everyone will have the opportunity to write within these prompts given each chapter, and they'll each highlight a different section of the history, starting from, well, we'll find out today what chapter 1 starts with. That way, I feel like it'll give us a really, really solid history for the current timeline. Since right now, say like phase 0, that was the last few months, whatnot, has been a lot of big world stuff. People throwing things here in history, deep history, different ways that magic works, and we'll keep fleshing those things out because I think they're still important. But for a lot of people that just want something interesting to write about and feel like they're contributing to something, I think this will really, really be what will help. And I think, like I mentioned last stream, adding depth when we're all writing about one event from different perspectives, it will flesh that event out so deep that we'll have a really, really cool lore built around certain things. So let me see if I can copy this over to the master lore document and make a new page here officially. And then we can just go over this right here and now. Unless we should preview it here for you guys and not give it to the master lore document. I don't know. Would you guys rather have it there so you can read along, or would you rather me just have it on my screen and we can read through it together? What sounds better? Option 1 or option 2? I'm fine with either. Together here? I mean, yeah, you guys are the ones that are here, so I mean, I guess that makes. Do you mean by together? By together, do you guys mean we both have it, or do you mean together we do it right here, just on my screen, and then after we finish, I can drop it in the lore document? Is that what you guys mean by together? Us here? Okay, let's do that. Okay, so realm events. Let's just go over this really quick. Here we are. Yeah, make this a little bit bigger. Oh man. Oh wait, no. Here we go. 125, 150. That might be a little deep. That's probably good. Okay, so like I said, realm events are real-time prompts we can all participate in to help build a cohesive history to the world together. And if you decide to write off the prompts below, you can post it in the realm events channel, which will be made right either during or at the end of the stream. Label it based on which prompt you choose. There's typically going to be at least one, but usually between 1, 3, and maybe 4 prompts to write about. If you don't choose any of the prompts that are given, you can just, if the event inspires you, but you don't choose one of the direct prompts, you can just use a 1.0, 2.0 if we're in chapter 2, etc. So this will be chapter 1. Okay. In the Age of Light, the year 4600, the evening of the summer solstice, a day of celebration, where the moon and sun alike are to be reborn and set anew in the coming year. But the birth of this sun peak moon. Oh, there's a typo already. Is different from those past. As the sun began its descent behind the storms of the Titans. Yeah, wow, this is written so bad to read out loud. As the sun began its descent behind the storms of the Titans, the realm is washed in a crimson light. But tonight, this crimson glow was darkened. The moon, in perfect harmony, eclipsed the sun. The realm stood in awe at the magnificent sight, but short-lived was their wonder, as in the same moment, what was thought to be but a bard's tale emerged from legend. Two swirling torrents of storm and magic crested the Titans. The promise to protect the realm from the forces of evil was broken. In tandem, the two death storms pierced the realm. How will the people of SpireHelm come to terms with this tragedy? Will they take it as an astronomical anomaly or an omen of things to come? So this is essentially the premise. This is the chapter 1 big prompt. So each chapter will kind of have their own, a little bit like this. Now we can get on to the individual prompts. So there's typically going to be, like I said, a couple, sometimes one, maybe more. At least one, sometimes more, maybe three. Just depends on the chapter and the importance and the different perspectives that are there. So first one, you can see this. The reality of death storms. On the same evening, under a solar eclipse, two death storms crest the Titans and pierce the realm. Once thought to be legend, word spreads fast of their reality. The collectors are sent to gather knowledge of the event. What do you find? This what do you find is essentially the prompt. So this one is really, really open-ended for you guys. If you want to take it in any direction you want, because this is the first time that anyone probably living has seen a death storm, a lot of people thought they were completely made up. Even written, like you can't verify written journals to be true and things that are in the archive. Once again, you don't really know if it's truth or if it's myth or legend. So this is a really big reality check for a lot of the people in the realm. So you could find all sorts of different things about this. I have some ideas here to get you started if you're wondering. Objects affected by the storm's magical power. This could be one that you could do as an artifact if you're interested in drawing something, if you're interested in building or 3D printing or doing whatever. Letters from a fort, wondering why they have not heard from a neighboring settlement in weeks. So maybe this one fort didn't know that it was a death storm, and beyond a forest a little ways they had some contract, and all of a sudden they went silent. And so they could have sent letters out, and a collector, you could have gone to that fort and been there to see these letters that have been left by their messengers or whatnot, or they could have been brought back to the fort and you could have collected them and just asked if you could take them to the archive. So that'll be that. And then obviously love notes from someone's final moments before the death storm arrived. So another prompt for you. So that's prompt number 1. So if you decide to write this, just 1.1. And obviously the chapters and the prompts are out of world stuff. They're not in world. So your collector wouldn't refer to this as chapter 1.1. Obviously, this is just a point in time for them. It's nothing specifically to any chapters or anything like that. Okay, who's ready for chapter 2 or prompt number 2? Okay, 1.2, growth and darkness, a changing realm. In the coming months and years, darkness has begun to manifest in mysterious and powerful ways. In your quest as a collector or archivist, you come across new vessels of knowledge pointing towards this sinister reality. What records, artifacts, or other manifestations do you encounter? How do you react? And do you, the collector, refuse to believe that darkness could return, or do you wonder if the realm could be in danger? We'll talk about the ideas for this one. So journals from hunters seeing new beasts, cartographers desperately comparing maps that now contradict each other, and items from times long ago appearing as though they were never lost. And obviously your own annotations on your records with thoughts that are perhaps best kept unshared. So for this one, I would imagine that in the first few years in general, those are the archive. We got to remember, the archivists and the collectors are some of the most zealous in the realm. They are the heroes of the kingdom because they're the ones who are willing to do the bidding of the king, to go out, find lost knowledge, and bring it back, which in this realm is like almost as heroic as you can get. So they're likely going to be the ones who outright refuse, and they are told by their successors, like the Scripturums and the Arch Chroniclers and the Collector Illuminatus, like they're all 100%. There is no Age of Darkness. There is no War in Ba Sing Se. There is nothing bad going on, and nothing could possibly happen. What happened with the eclipse, if those death storms are true, which they might not be, if those were really true, it's an anomaly, and it just happened because we got a solar eclipse on our summer solstice, which is a bad omen. But it's not really a bad omen of things to come. It just a bad thing happened. So that would probably be the perspective of most the sentiment within the archive, and especially within the kingdom of SpireHelm. The higher up you go, probably the more fervor there is about that. All I mean mentioned, yeah, shout out. But the longer this happens for, the more people are going to start questioning things, and the more the archive could start questioning things. I don't think it's beyond, especially lower level, collectors who say they have a family, they just recently left their village, and then they get to the archive, they've been spending a couple months there, and then all of a sudden their village gets wiped out from the death storm, and they're like, whoa, what the heck? And they're all higher ups are saying, no, that never happened, that never existed, you're kind of crazy, or it was just a bad thing that happened, we're sorry for your loss, but in the end, the Age of Light is strong as always, and we're going to keep doing what we've been doing. So different perspectives there you can play off of. Hopefully some of these ideas, if you're an artist, or if you like drawing maps, these cartographers, like, you could have two maps of the same forest or something that are completely different, because this new time that's happening, growth is like rapid. The world is changing. It seems like there's mystic powers at bay that are being released. So even rivers that were once there could just be gone in an instant, or mountains, or the world is completely shifting. The realm is the same, but individual parts just will morph and change, since the powers now of the Venerants and the Dark One and whatnot are almost once again starting to like grind gears. So that's manifesting in the realm. Okay, last one, abandonment. In this time of uncertainty, many citizens of the realm turn to their god for answers, protections, or blessings. However, in your collections, you see some patterns that may indicate that many of the faithful are more lost than ever. Have their gods abandoned them, or are their worshippers unfit to receive their blessings? So some ideas for this one could be prayer scrolls and offerings, burnt remnants of scriptures for people that are upset with their god and decided to, burn their scriptures, or observations of the faithful, desperate for a sign. So if you're a collector, or an adventurer or something, or a traveler, or anyone in the realm, you could just be observing, like, hey, I went to this church and I've never seen people gather like this before in the wake of these death storms that happened. So lots to do there. So hopefully one of these three speaks to you. You are not limited to any one of them. You can do as many as you want. And like you said, you can do anything else. If this prompt here speaks to you and you're like, oh, I have a different idea that doesn't fit into any of these three, you can just do it. Put it under 1.0 in this case, so that people know it's not referring to any one of the prompts. But yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think? You guys think this is cool? Do you think this is good? Or would you rather just keep doing blue sky stuff? I feel like this could be really helpful. Yeah, let me know your thoughts. I'll read the chat here for a minute. There is no death storm in SpireHelm. Yeah, that's probably what everybody said the first time when these two death storms came over. After that, I think people are going to start thinking, well, I've seen one with my own eyes. I've seen what they do. I know for sure. This is the beginning of the Third Age. Yes, but remember that the sentiment among the archive is that there is no Third Age. So if we ever decide to do chapters in ages past, we'll do them as, for example, chapter 0, or like we'll divide it into eras at some point if we need to. But for now, this is the present. We're moving forward, so we're just going to start with chapter 1. If we ever need it to be 0.1 or 3.1, we can do that. Backtracking 200 years ago in timeline. Yeah. So this is before Alythius has vanished. That will probably be one of the chapters, is where people start forgetting or realizing that Alythius has not talked to the public in a long time. So yeah, this is a little bit before. We know what's going to happen in the next couple hundred years. We know Alythius is going to vanish, and we know things are going to get worse, and we know, whatnot. But we're kind of starting here to give us a clear starting point. I feel like this is a really good one. AJ, what have I missed? Basically, these prompts. We're going to do realm events where everybody gets the same few prompts about an event all at the same time, and anybody can write about them how they choose. Archive needs an Inquisition branch. I've thought about that. I really don't. I feel like we're bordering, a lot of the ideas that I have in my mind are starting to sound a lot like Warhammer, and obviously there's a lot of inspiration there. Grim dark, like authoritative king, like emperor god kind of borderline. And I'm like, I really want something like an Inquisition, but I don't want it to just be the Inquisition from Warhammer. I'll give a little spoiler for you guys here. One of the next things that I'm working on is a group of sanctioned knights of the realm that will be spearheading the vanquishing of darkness. So like pre-Aletheus' banishment, before he leaves, he sanctions these very few number of stalwart knights that were to go out and vanquish darkness and make sure that it couldn't, return. And so they would kind of be like the Grey Knights of Warhammer in a way, but they'd be very powerful, very strong, kind of heroic knights. Like if you're thinking dark fantasy, if you're thinking, typical fantasy in your mind, these are like the big, strong paladin sentinels, whatnot. So I'm working on that. We don't have everything set in stone yet, but I've got some in the works. And when I do release it, it'll be a blueprint format most likely. So for those of you that have worked on the Order of the Golden Flame, they would then be, beneath those overarching. I don't want them to be chapters. I don't want them to have, what are they called? What is Gulliman? He's what are they all called? Sanguinius, Horus. They're all the name. What's their title? Anyways, I don't want them to be those people. Primarchs. Thank you. Yeah. So I don't want them to just be Primarchs, but in a way, they're each going to be over a different aspect of protecting and vanquishing darkness. But you guys will then eventually, so spoilers for this, since you guys are here, you guys are the cool ones. We'll have those few. I think there's going to be 7 that start, and that's pre-Aletheus banishment. So they assume they're the only ones in the realm who are supposed to do this. There's only 7 of them, so it's really, really low key. Their honor is in secrecy, basically. They're not to know. People aren't to know that that's their job, because the public isn't even supposed to know that darkness is happening to begin with. Then Aletheus vanishes, and things are still getting worse. And at some point, one of them will probably die, and the other 6 at that point will say, okay, the 6-7 warriors become canon. The other 6 will then say, we can't keep doing this ourselves. We need more numbers. And they will then go to Collector Scripturums and other heroes and adventurers in the realm, recruit them, and if they take the vow of secrecy and of protection of the realm, they then get to become, the warriors. And so at that point, those lower warriors will go to you guys, and you guys will be able to blueprint your own. And if you want to write things, they'll obviously log their details, because the archive and their successors, their higher-ups, are going to want to know what types of darkness they're vanquishing, how it went, how many men they lost, how powerful the darkness is getting. So I really don't want it to seem just like Warhammer. It's bordering on that. But with those spoilers, hopefully that'll be kind of cool. Different than the Storm Wardens. Yeah, the Storm Wardens are more like priests. They're more like clergymen that just so happen to also have to do violent things, where they're like stealing people's eyes because they believe that the eyes themselves are cursed once you're touched by a death storm. Like there's nothing you can do other than take your eyes out. So you can have your own paladin OCs. Yeah, at some point that will be one of them. I really want some spoilers. This will probably be chapter 3. I'm hoping to have it ready by chapter 3. Chapter 2, I've got some other stuff coming. Chapter 2 is probably going to be like a half chapter. Someone mentioned that it would be really cool to do a Halloween type event with a more horror focus. I know this one's kind of dark and grim as well. Everything here in chapter 1, but this is kind of the onset of darkness. So you can do light things in here, but the contrast, I'm hoping, I think around the 28th of October. So it gives people a couple days to write, and then we can have a really cool, everybody can read through everybody's submissions on the 30th and the 31st of October for like a Halloween event. And that one, some light spoilers. Once again, you don't need to write anything. Don't jump to conclusions. But obviously the lurkers are going to be a big part of that one, where since this is chapter 1, lurkers don't even exist yet. In chapter 2, if we get to a lurkers thing, the people of the realm don't even know what a lurker is, and the archive doesn't even know what they are. And the record that Vincerus submitted to the archive that's been canonized that you guys have seen from the lurkers, it hasn't even happened yet. That's probably 100 years later before they get a chance to do that. So this is going to be people's first time in the realm seeing lurkers, and they're going to have no idea what they're seeing, and it's going to be the scariest thing that they've ever seen. And so it's just going to like just be adding on to the chaos, and really set in stone for most of the realm that this is not normal. Things have got to be getting worse. And then all of that happens, and then shortly after, Aletheus vanishes, and it's like, okay, well, now the realm's gone. Like, people are like, where's my king? Where's my god? Where's everything? Everything starts to fall apart. Oh, while civilizations are getting lost, towns can't even connect with their other friends anymore because the roads have been overgrown and there is no path anymore, all of this. So, yeah. Vanishing on Bondo was really good. I liked that one. Writing in the chapter is time limited. I'm never going to close chapters. Like, you'll always be able to write for chapter 1 at any point in the future. Just that for a couple weeks at a time. I haven't decided if each chapter is going to be exactly the same or if it's going to kind of be based off of, how much traction, how many people are writing, and if it kind of slows down, then we move to the next chapter kind of thing. But for now, this one's going to go at least for the next couple weeks. And then if you guys, decide that you want to come back to this one and write something else, if you think of something else, once again, you'll always be able to put it in here. Waiting for the wider world to open up for writing. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping after we get through this, to work on some of the bigger overarching lore here on stream with you guys. That way we can kind of bounce ideas off of each other and come to some good conclusions, and hopefully set up like a little bit of a wider scope for you guys so you have more specifics to write off of, because I get it's kind of hard when there's nothing set in stone or very little. Like the master lore document is okay right now, but it's the bare bones in my opinion. So we're gonna get a lot more. Will there be a timeline of chapters that will be released somewhere? Not exactly. Not yet. I think I'll announce, like, when we're getting close, I'll announce, like, hey, this next live stream, I plan on doing these live streams, I think, for each chapter. I would love to. And for some announcements, I have an idea for some announcements for the Ignis specs, which I'm hoping, fingers crossed, we can get ready by chapter 2. But depending on what it looks like, I'll probably just announce, like, hey, we're gonna start chapter 2 on this date, but I won't have it like from chapter 1 to chapter 10, right now. Right now we're just gonna go one by one, and if at a certain point we make a whole timeline, we'll approach that as needed. We return, have more points on a chapter for moving on. That's actually a good question. I did not think of that, but I wouldn't be opposed to it. Like if some point during chapter 5 we get new lore, which could be cool to write about in chapter 1, I could add another prompt back in chapter 1. But for the most part, I think we'll move forward. But obviously, if something in a later chapter inspires you to go back to chapter 1, you can always do another 1.0 and just write it outside of the prompts that were given. Yeah, so 4600 is the year that the summer solstice where the death storm, the double death storm eclipse event happened. Yeah, the live Fortnite event, basically. And History and Truth, 1812 is the last, or sorry, not 1812, 4812 is the last year that Aletheus was seen. So we've got about 212 years before Aletheus vanishes. So the darkness gets stronger, and then right when the world needed him most, he vanished. Yeah, basically that. It's going to be right around there. Oh, never mind. That was correct. Fortnite canon, pack it up. Yeah, I've actually got a contract with Fortnite right now to do a SpireHelm event next month. So get ready. I'm joking, by the way. Current year is now 47, and chapter 1 is 200 years in the past. Yeah, basically current year as of my video in the master lore document is 200 years in the future past chapter 1. So we're going to do a few chapters, and obviously I said, I think in 1.2, the second prompt, in the coming months and years. Once again, it doesn't really matter exactly what you guys don't have to write within the weeks or month when this happens. Remember that all of your writings will be done as a collector. They're bringing stuff back to the archive, so stuff could be found before the death storms happened, stuff that we found during and way later, as long as it ties back to the central idea of this event, it doesn't really matter. It could be someone writing their will at the end of their life, and they said, I witnessed the first death storms in 4600 on the eclipse or whatever, the veiled moon, the summer solstice or whatnot. So that, yeah, obviously you don't have to stick to exactly a month or a year or whatever around this event. But as we move forward, it won't, like, we can, if this is chapter 1 and this is chapter 2, they might overlap a little bit. Like, you could write stuff kind of in between. It'll just slowly be moving forward in time. So, can't wait to see the Dark One as a skin in Fortnite. Yeah, wouldn't we all? Let's see, anything else I missed in chat? Oh, like an in-universe timeline for when the chapters are. I think in each chapter I'll kind of mention it. Like, this one happens right around 4600, but I don't know if there will be like, they won't always be evenly spread out necessarily. So, setting apart SpireHelm from other fantasy worlds with the realm events. Yeah, I think this is really what we need in a way, because it'll be really hard to collaborate. I mean, we've been doing great. Once again, I've loved the stuff I've been seeing, but I think this will really like pull everybody in and give us something to look forward to, because I think everybody has already, all of us here love fantasy, and we've been thinking about cool fantasy stuff for years, and we're going to get all that out pretty quickly, and eventually we might not like run out, but like we've done all of the stuff we're most passionate about. We're like, oh man, I've gotten out my magic system that I really liked, or I had a cool idea for a monster and I got it out. And then it's like, well, now what do I do? Do I just wait for everybody else to make the cool stuff? Hopefully this will kind of cure that writer's block for some people, or artist's block, or whatever. So let's see. Would it be better to keep the extended lifespans of certain races to a minimum as to add more mysticism over the past, or would it be good to have elves that live 750 years? That's one, I think we're fine to keep people that live a long time. Obviously, Alythius is going to live for at least 200 more years, and he's obviously a demigod. He's a major god of the world, so he's higher up there. So, so I think you could have elves that live longer, or you could just have them die because there's so much danger in the world that going out at all now could be so dangerous that elves that could live for thousands of years never make it past 500 because they just die, because everybody has to protect their own kingdom now, because the SpireHelm is so far away that it's the only city that's really safe from everything else. And so if you're not close, like you could just die overnight to a death storm or otherwise, you know? So if we have chapters that can live for that long, it disrupts the idea of lack of clarity. We would have primary sources for information from ages ago. I'm not sure if I understand that question. Wait. Yeah, I'm not sure if I understand that. BuzzAxe. Me, I have a hard time making long-term connections or stories, so having a smaller prompt feels nice. Yeah, that's the hardest part. And like what I think will really work here is if we get this set up, then writing in the present, like once we get to chapter who knows what, we'll be able to look back and go, oh, I saw somebody's story back here that connected, and we'll be able to, it'll be so much easier to make connections, because no offense to anybody's stuff, but I think what's happening in these chapters is going to be the most important stuff. And I will draw from your guys' inspirations within the chats and channels and submissions and stuff. But the most important stuff will be happening in these. And so especially canonically, like if we're talking about the timeline of the world, if we want to build a history, this is going to be the way to do it. And all of us will have a pretty good shared idea of what's going on. And if people are curious about, you know, all of us will know this is the day that this happened, but there will be 200 different perspectives on what happened next and how people went about it and how the world interpreted it into the different stories and experiences and magic that happens. So I think that's where we'll get a ton of depth in this just one little snapshot of history, and then we can move to the next. And by the end, we'll have a whole world history that we could easily make, you know, a TTRPG off of, or a video game, or a graphic novel, or a book, or, you know, if people wanted to do stuff, this is where somebody could make a YouTube video essay and say, here's all the lore that we know of SpireHelm from chapters 1 to 10. And I think that they'll really get some cool stuff. So let's see. There is no maximum lifespan in SpireHelm because at any given moment a goblin can kill you. Yep, exactly. And I think I mentioned one of my, I don't know if it was my creative writing, I think it was the video, the Lurkers video I made. I don't know if I cut this section or not, but I mentioned that the city that this one little perspective was in had like bells that would warn them if a death storm was coming. But I imagine for the first few maybe months or years, they didn't have that. And so like, because they assumed, oh, it was a one-off event, it would never happen again. And then it happened again. And they're like, there's no way, we need to be prepared for this kind of thing. And then it happens again. And they're, okay, now we need like alarms to let people know to run in a different direction. And but it's always impossible because like they spiral across the land. So it's like, how are you going to know which way to run? Yeah, they come generally from the west and move towards the east, but if you just run north or south, it could just curve up and kill you anyways. So yeah. Say for long-lived races, there'd be far fewer as they would not reproduce as often. Shorter-lived species. Yeah, I think that's fair. Elves are probably more rare than humans. Same with dwarves. There's got to be a cap, though. Yeah, I think the more divinity a character has, probably the longer they live, the more power they have. But there's always danger. I imagine the grimness of this world is kind of, the reality is that people just die occasionally to monsters, to getting lost, you know, the bog, everything. So you vote on who wrote the best. Yeah, I think we'll do the same thing in the Realm Events channel where we'll have the seals. And if you really like what people are writing, give it a seal. And, you know, I think we'll highlight some of those as well in the highlights channel. Some of the top 3 from each chapter or so, or, you know, top 5 maybe. I would encourage you guys. This is also where, like, I've been looking through the archive, and I understand it's really hard right now. We got so many people in here in less than a week that it's like, it's overwhelming to see how much has been happening and how many ideas there are. So it's hard to know where to start when it comes to reading. I would think that this is where, if you're just like, oh, I'm bored, I want to check in on SpireHelm, but I don't really know what to do. Other than my videos that I'm making, I'd say this is like, this channel would be like the #1 channel to check. Obviously, canon lore and announcements or teasers and stuff like that is a good place to start. But when it comes to the community, I would hope this has some of our best work, some of the most interesting, and obviously it will end up being the most cohesive because it will be tied into a real world event. So you're the most likely to get stuff that is easy to build off of, connects to the world already, and also adds depth to the world and gives you more ideas. So wouldn't want any characters to live longer than a demigod. Yeah, let's talk about lifespans. Let me put that in I have some notes to see where we start when it comes to world building after this, after you guys are bored of talking about the Realm event. So I'll put that in there for us. Realm events doc will be posted in the Discord. Oh yeah, let me just throw this in the master lore document now that we're kind of through it. Let's see if this will work. Realm, where should we put it? Let's rename this Realm Events. Do you guys think it should go at the bottom because it's not technically lore, or do we think it should go right beneath History and Truths because it's probably the one that people will reference the most often? I'm kind of fine with either. Oh well, did I just delete those? Oh, dang. How do I get those back? Ah, that's not the right one. Oh no. Oh no. Ah. How do I do this? Oh, undo? Yeah, that's probably the smartest thing to do, wouldn't it? Oh, well, let's just do this again. Take 2. There we go. Okay. Thanks. I don't know why I didn't think of that. Under history, is that what we're thinking? Kind of right here. I think people reference this quite a bit. So, imagine 100 years of dementia. can't wait to start working on my own entry to this. Yeah, I hope this gets you guys hyped. That's kind of the idea. We've had a lot of really good traction just from so many people bouncing ideas off each other. But for those of us that have kind of been like, well, a lot of people that have been talking about stuff, have been doing stuff, but I don't really know where to start. This is a way to never feel like you need to be in the Discord all day to know what's going on and keep up with things, because this will be kind of the home for the most important stuff. Yeah, should I just delete this whole Google Doc? Collectors watching horror as the Grand Archivist eviscerates the Google Doc. Yeah, light, death storms, darkness coming. Sounds like heresy to me. Might as well just delete all of this so that nobody can read it. Yeah, some events might not be entirely accurate. I imagine that's the other thing too. Remember that this I don't know what you'd call this intro, this prologue to this chapter is essentially not known by your collector or whoever's writing this document. They don't necessarily need to know all this, because there is no news outlet. There is no history. I mean, there's obviously people who go around, with news and whatnot, but like, it's not like modern day where if something happens, everybody knows about it really quick. This is like the people who saw it crest the mountains, and some people probably didn't know what it was. They probably just assumed, oh, it's just clouds, whatever, just a storm. But when it came through, it killed most of the people that saw it. And the people that made it away or came back to their towns to see everything gone are the ones who start, talking about this stuff. So in a lot of cases, these chapter prologues will not be... why do I keep doing stuff? It will not be 100% like known by everybody. So if I wrote something that applies to one of these prompts, should I go in and edit the post to label it with the prompt? Not necessarily. You could duplicate it. You could post it again in the Realm events thing, which I'm probably going to put in. We'll put it under main, I think. Let's do a new channel here. Let's duplicate this and do... Realm events. And if we ever need to make a separate... I don't want to make one channel for each chapter, so that would just get really overwhelming. I mean, we already have so many chats and channels in this server because it's also hosting the entire archive right now before we have a website. But otherwise, we will do this. Okay. Create a tag here, 1.1. Let's do 1.0. Let's do 1.1, 2, and 1.3. Okay, let me know if that worked for you guys, if you guys are in the Discord. Hopefully you guys can see this channel. We are going to require people to select tags when posting at just at least one of them. That way, if you're looking for ideas and you're like, oh, I really like this one, but I don't really know where to start. Like, I'm confused at what I could do for, 1.1, for example. It just says, what do you find? Like, I don't know. Then hopefully you can go in and just click the 1.1 tag, and you'll be able to see people's, you'll be able to see people's entries and get an idea of like, where to go with it, or build off of somebody else's. If people want to take the same, say, leader or lord of some fort, and they all want to write about his experiences, and from like different journal entries or scattered different ways, it could be really cool. Okay, let me see here. I think I just got behind a little bit. Should we have lurkers show up straight after the death storms or no? Canonically, they appear in the barrows of death storms. So if a lot of people are killed by a death storm and buried together, technically the more amount of people that are buried at once in one burial mound, the stronger the lurker. So You could technically spin it in right now if you want to. Um, the next chapter, like I said, is going to be like more of a horror chapter for Halloween. So that one will be more focused on the horror stories that are written from in journal entries from like villagers, for example. Like night one, I hear screams in my village, and I look outside, and then the next day everything's fine, and then the next night, more stuff is happening. So if you want to write something like that, I would maybe start writing it and just save it for a couple weeks, because I think people will really enjoy it around Halloween time. But obviously, if you want to do it for this one, go for it. But yeah, at this point, canonically, nobody knows what lurkers are, because at this point, they haven't even happened yet. It's not until the coming days and weeks after, when they get everybody buried, that they start to appear. So, what denotes things in SpireHelm that being heretical or not? Did the archivist erase heretical info, or what? That's a really good question. I don't think it's quite as strict as like Warhammer or other like pseudo-religious fantasies. I would imagine they don't believe it, and they might mark it as heresy. I think as long as it's just implied, I don't know. I think there can be nuance to it. Maybe it depends on the collector. Maybe to some collectors who are very fervent, and maybe for those knights that I've talked about that are coming soon, maybe they take any mention of the Dark One as heresy, or like, and they would just kill anyone who does it. And maybe it's person to person. Certain ones are more likely to take it more seriously, and other ones are just to say you're crazy and you better think different. You better tighten yourself up before you get sent to the, I don't know, prisons or something. So yeah, I think it could kind of depend, but as a general rule of thumb, and also it gets really hard because once Aletheus disappears, who gets to say what is and isn't heresy? He's not even here anymore. Nobody's seen him, at least, and so what counts as heresy and what doesn't? So nonchalantness tournament between the Dark One and me. Let's see. With threads as the chapters. I just made it a forums one, so each submission will have their own discussion underneath it. What happens in off topic can be considered heretical. Yeah, that's pretty fair. We've had some pretty crazy conversations in there. Been peeping in here and there. No IRL bigotry in SpireHelm. Yeah, no in real life bigotry in SpireHelm, but obviously, the people would probably think that most monsters are evil and should be killed, but it's not coming from a place of like bigotry or anything. It's just defense, and the evil here is pretty unnuanced. It's just, this is so bad that it's just bad. It's not like, oh, these people are perfectly normal and we just hate them because they're different. None of that. We don't need any of that in this realm. Can we go offline for 7 days? Yeah, I really wish I could pause the Discord sometimes. Like the first day when everybody hopped in there, I was like, can I just pause this and have nobody touch it for a couple days before I get everything ready? But unfortunately, no, that's not how it works. No submissions, no writing, no nothing. Happens in the event of a lurker being killed. That's one where we didn't really discuss it. I would imagine they just rot. I'd imagine they just like explode. Like they would just burst into an explosion of chaotic energy and magic, and probably anyone near it would get hurt, depending on their strength and immunity to dark forces. But be split like schism between Catholics and Orthodox, where they're still civil with each other. Yeah, maybe I could see that, where it's like everybody serves the kingdom of SpireHelm, but do you believe that this is the new age of darkness, or do you believe that the age of light, that Aletheus is definitely coming back, or he's still here, he's just being quiet, and that he's just praying really hard so that we all stay, safe? Yeah, I think that could work. 40K collab. Yeah, that'd be sick. Pulling any inspiration for Der Ring des Nibelungen? No, I've never heard of it. But I mean, there's an editorial council deciding what work they approve of public record and what is restricted in the archive. Actually, yeah, I would think it would go to chroniclers, I think collectors themselves would kind of know, like, hey, this record probably should go in the restricted section. I don't think the public should see this. But if it's kind of like teetering, or if it's really crazy, they might bring it to their collector scripturum or a arch chronicler, collector illuminatus, and they would say, oh yeah, we have a section for that, and then they'd bring them down to like the Tutus Tenebris, and then throw them off the bottom because they're not allowed to know that it exists. So could definitely depend. I call the Dark One Toby. You can call him whatever you want, but people might just burn you at the stake for it. How long do collectors live? I think it's kind of dependent on the collector, since the majority of the collectors are of different races: elves, humans, dwarves, halflings, whatnot. A bunch of the souls buried dead escape the lurker body upon death. Yeah, maybe the spirits that were possessed can kind of rest in peace. Like they're released, but they don't come back to life, obviously, but like they're released as spirits, and then in that giant explosion, they can finally rest peacefully. Are there conspiracy theorists? Yeah, definitely, I think. I think the biggest conspiracy is, I mean, not yet, but when Alethius vanishes, is he dead? Or did he abandon the realm entirely? But either way, whether he's dead or abandoned the realm, we're screwed. Like that's, I think, what a lot of people would assume. And then secondly, the second conspiracy would be the archive and the throne tells us that we're still in the Age of Light, but we saw some pretty crazy astrological things happen. We saw an eclipse on a summer solstice that then ushered in 2 death storms, and now we're getting tons of them, and the realm is changing and shifting, and nobody can find their way around, and everybody's dying. So something's got to be changing. So I think, yeah, those are probably the conspiracy theories. Color version of the world map. That's one that I was thinking of making right now on this stream, if we want to. Underground collaboration. Yeah, I saw the underground collaboration. I really like it. I think it'd be really cool for a limited scope. Like it's a place that some collectors went out and found and descended, and like they just keep seeing like gets bigger and bigger and bigger type of thing. I don't think it's necessarily going to be like a full underworld yet. If we ever decide to kind of expand the realm downwards or upwards and do, other like realms of existence or other planes, then we could definitely pull that in. But yeah. SpireHelm has D&D races. Yeah, so the one thing with SpireHelm, because it's a collaborative world and because it's based off of the retro dark fantasy, aesthetic trend in a lot of ways, whatever is in your shared fantasy of that is probably true. So if you imagine orcs and monsters and giant spiders and owlbears potentially, like even though those are like D&D, those can all kind of exist in this world. If it's something that probably you wouldn't think you would see in an AI generated dark fantasy slideshow, then it probably wouldn't fit here. But obviously you're allowed to do whatever you want, just at its core, we're trying to capture that vibe and that essence. So I need a dark fantasy playlist that's royalty free. Vincer has been doing a lot of the music, and I know he's working on some more stuff for us, but I would love to have some like music playing here. I just haven't figured out how to get it to work with OBS for some reason, and also finding, extended hours worth of non-repetitive, dungeon synth is kind of hard. That's also not copyrighted, and I don't want to do that. I did see some of the music, Gabriel, yeah. So I'll check that out and see if that'll work for us. Skeleton Collector. Could be really cool. Oh, you guys made a SpireHelm playlist on Spotify? I should check that out. That'd be super cool. Yeah, the Skeleton Collector, like the skeleton character, when I was first doing the envisioning the project with the Wanderer, if I was going to do like imagine realm events, but it's just the Wanderer, and each week you guys get to decide what happens, to his story. But instead of creative writing, it's just like a back and forth of like a choose your own adventure. So I really wanted the Wanderer to be accompanied by a skeleton companion, like a skeleton knight, that like he's in a dungeon, he comes across a skeleton knight that actually helps him defeat this monster. But because the skeleton knight doesn't have vocal cords or anything, he can't talk. And so he's like a loyal companion that just follows the Wanderer around and helps him fight monsters in darkness, but doesn't talk, which I think would be like a super cool, aesthetic to have. some like nameless hero with a even more nameless, a speechless companion, skeleton companion. I think that'd be super cool. So. Okay, I think that's about it for Realm events. I would love to do some lore building, world building stuff here on stream with y'all. For anyone who wants to stick around, more than welcome to. I'm open to multiple things. I think I just want to flesh out some of the biggest questions that people have, because some of them I have ideas in my mind, but I think going back and forth would really help with the community. So let me make a poll. People using Eastern cultures for inspiration. I think Eastern cultures can work. When it comes to Eastern cultures, I would take Elden Ring as a pretty good standard. A lot of the FromSoft games, like there's katanas, there's samurai, but at its core, the world of Elden Ring doesn't feel very Eastern fantasy, but there are Eastern elements in it. And especially like in Elden Ring, I think the gods and the god system, or not, is it the gods or the spiritual aspect, like the realms of the spirits and stuff, draw a lot from like rebirth and like reincarnation and a lot of the Elden Ring stuff. Bloodborne inspiration, yes, in the sense of eldritch horrors and hunting of monsters and like the degeneration of the human psyche as you uncover these impossible to come to terms with experiences and horrors and whatnot. But obviously not like guns and not London. I mean, not that they're in London, but like we're in a more older. Obviously, we're in a fantasy realm, but in an older one. Witcher fit into the tone map. I think I actually am not that well versed in The Witcher. I believe it's only slightly more grim and like dark than the general scope of what I feel like. I don't know if scope's the right word. The general theme. But I do it as like a heat map where The Witcher is probably just outside the hottest zone, but probably not way out there. Like if we're talking Rapunzel and Frozen, that's like way, way out there. And if we're talking Trench Crusade, I think that's past The Witcher. So I think, yeah, The Witcher could be a great inspiration. Yeah, people are saying Witcher is a solid tone for stories. So guns are part of an ancient civilization or something, like a blueprint from an inventor. Yeah, I think we've talked about a little bit about guns being like some crazy people or some very gifted people have the ability to make them, but they're usually not very consistent, or like they don't mass manufacture them because they're harder to make than swords. They require like months of construction and like prayer, or depending on your source of magic, or if you're an alchemist or whatnot, then depending on how you get the gun to work, it takes a really long time. So you probably only make like one or two of them if you're a person. You can only make one of them at a time if you're the person who makes them, manufacturers. And so they wouldn't be widespread, and they would likely explode and or malfunction at some point in time. So evil fairies feel so witchery. Yeah, that would be really cool. Evil fairies would be awesome. Yeah, Vermis. I've seen some stuff from Vermis. Vermis, actually, I have a huge Pinterest board full of like inspirations and like the vibe, like if I'm trying to get the vibe down. And Vermis has a good few cameos in there. I really like that feel. Okay, let me get this poll done. Let's get a poll. Oh, I can only do 4? I can only do 4. Okay. Well, I think magic. I was thinking about doing maybe some more magic building. If you want magic, just send the word magic in the chat. But otherwise, this poll, we can do this. We'll see what you guys are feeling like building. I am down for any combination of them. And obviously, if we get through one really fast and we feel like we've got it to a good point, we can move on to another one, the next most requested. We're about an hour in right now, which is pretty good. Probably got at least an hour left. I'm not too busy. It's my fall break for school, so that's pretty nice. Premier rugby team of the realm. Yeah, sports. Sports is one that would be a really interesting something to write about. I don't think we'll canonize anything huge when it comes to sports, but like gladiatorial combat and or jousting is definitely probably a thing. So that'd be kind of cool. Thanks, Harmonic Shift, for that. I'm actually going to copy that and look into that in a bit. That'd be awesome. Oh. Oh, man. Copy this. I'm all for rugby being added. Themes, kind of essential. Okay, let's look where this is at. Okay, so it looks like right now we're sitting at Gods and Pantheon first, then Maps, and Lifespans / races, and then Themes and Tones of the World. So let's do some map building. Let's do that. I think that'd be a good use of our time here. Let me pull that up. And this is a sketch of a map, but I think that kind of fits the vibe of the world. Okay, I'll leave the poll up just so I remember which ones are next. But for now we can stick with, oh wait, we did Gods and Pantheons first, didn't we? Never mind, I'm doing the wrong thing. We'll do map second. I lied. Let's get back to the master lore document here. Okay, so Gods and Divinity. I'm thinking, so we've got the SpireHelm symbol, which has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 spikes on it. We could theoretically make each spike one of the Venerants, potentially. I think, right? Did I say like there's like about 10 of them? Yeah. So we could make 12, and maybe theoretically this circle in the middle is like the dark one being like pierced by the sword of one of the Venerants, that like that's symbolic of them like killing or banishing the evil one, or maybe he's just the 13th or something. Not opposed to either of those ideas. Let me just check something really quick. I feel like I might have actually accidentally changed the logo. Wait, 1, 2. Oh no, it's the same. We're good. The circle being the dark one. It kind of does look like a snake eye in a way. Oh, it's on the stream. You guys can see it off to the right. I forget. Right there. Yeah. So like it kind of does look like a serpent's eye, which could be kind of cool. I could see that working. I don't know if I want to necessarily flesh out all of the Venerants. I want them, at least for now, to be kind of unknowable to the realm. But I imagine it's fair to assume that in general they are each over different aspects of life. Like maybe the dark one could be the one of death, but in a different way. I don't necessarily want it to be like America situation from Elden Ring, where she took out the rune of death and gave it to Malekith, and so nobody dies. I think there still is death in the world. And I think we mentioned, I might have been last stream or somewhere else in one of the chats early on, like last week, where the death in the realm, people dying, was like death's last grasp at power. And that little thread that he had in the world was enough that now his power is able to grow. As each person dies in the realm, he gains just a minuscule bit of strength. and then that is enough to send death storms in, and now each death storm that kills people ups that amount of strength. So we're kind of on like a near exponential curve, probably not perfectly exponential, but a bit. Like it's creeping, it's getting faster now, his strength. So that's kind of what we had talked about a little bit. 12 being holy and 13 being unlucky would be cool. Yeah, so maybe 12 major gods, and then that. Or, oh wait a minute. I actually might like this more. 12 major gods to represent the Venerants, to represent the different aspects that the Venerants believe are important in the realm. So similar to in Elden Ring, how there's like the outer gods, and then they have their envoys, which are like the two fingers. Alythius would be the Venerants' major god, and I don't know if envoy is the right word, or placeholder or whatnot. He would be the one that is the placeholder for light and like protection. So he would fill that. The top spire of the SpireHelm would be representative of Alythius. And so maybe the Venerants, there are less. Maybe there's only 4 or 5 of them. Maybe there's 12. Maybe there's more. But all we know is at any given point, they have 12 major gods in the realm, and they shift and they change. So if they, say, break their vow or they start doing something else, the Venerants will have them killed by some means, and they will be replaced, or they'll lose their power and then they'll be replaced by a new god that will manifest in a different way. So you could have little bits of history where people are like, I don't know who this, we lost this god, he's dead. Do we have a new guy yet? Is there a 12th? And it might take them years to not come of age, but to present themselves. They get their power somehow, and then it takes years for people to be like, oh, that's the 12th guy, that's the 12th one. And then each of these gods can have their own minor gods that work underneath them, and there could also be gods that are like gods of elements and demons and whatnot that could be completely outside of their purview, like the major gods. So let's go with that. Typically chosen, granted power by a greater god. Yeah, sometimes in exchange for favors, gods can die and can be replaced through birth or through being chosen through super rare. Okay, so let's do that. So 12 major gods. I'm gonna move my iPad for a bit because I need to be able to type. My iPad is on a stand that is right in the middle of everything. So let's do that. So 12 major gods any given time. I think that's a pretty fair. That's not too much to memorize for newcomers. If they want to reference one, they can probably find what they're looking for pretty quickly, I would think. So Alythius. What do we call these? Representatives sounds a little bit too political in a way. What should we call these people? Canon appearance. Alythius was previously canonically a gold-plated dragonborn. If we're going off D&D terms, it'd be part dragon, part man. Conduits. I like conduits. Scions is cool. Echoes is cool. Conduits could work. Scion. What does scion mean specifically? Let's see. A descendant of a notable family. Okay. For grafting or rooting. Right. Because they do kind of, in a way, get grafted in. Often vessels, emissaries, reflections. I think I'm leaning towards conduit. Or standard, maybe? Standard? I don't know. Standard might not work too much. I don't know. Echoes for the evil one. Subjects. A few hundred years at least. Don't get killed. Maybe 20 or so of these guys. Okay, so we can cut that. We need to get canonized to be true. So yeah, maybe this would be really cool. Hear me out. When in the realm events, when one of these guys dies, we can write, one of the prompts could be new people rise up trying to gain the favor of the Venerants. Who are these people that are trying to gain the favor, and will they replace this 12th slot of the gods? And that way all of your guys' ideas are up for grabs, and maybe we take the top one that people think is the coolest or the most whatever at the time. I think that'd be really fun. I don't want to hurt people's feelings too much and say like, oh, your idea sucked, because no idea sucks here. But I think that could be kind of cool. Let's do conduit for now. Let's use that. Conduit of light and protection. Okay, we got our first god. Let's go. I think this will be a heading 2, right? Are these heading 1s? Yeah. God competitions. And I think that'd be a cool thing. Imagine when each one dies, they hold like gladiatorial combat or something to prove, depending on which god it is. If obviously it's the god of knowledge, then they're gonna have some like, I don't know, spelling bee or something like that, where they push the bounds of their magical powers, and the victor comes out and is granted like, you know, godhood essentially. I think that could be really cool. Any physical attributes change when becoming a god? I think so. Yeah, I would imagine Alythius is like humongous, like not huge, but like we're talking probably 10 feet tall. Yeah, like 10-ish feet, like humongous. They should feel like a god. Like when you're looking up at Zeus in like the Hercules movie, you know, it's like, and he stands up out of his chair, or like when he's the sculpture, it's like, whoa. I think that'd be really cool. Slat boxing for the conduit of war. Yeah, that'd be so sick. Can what they represent incarnate into them? Yeah, I would imagine if they become the conduit of their whatever, I would think they would get aspects of that. So maybe Alythius previously was just a dragonborn and he was red or green or something, and when he became the conduit of light and protection, his scales hardened into this like indestructible gold, and like shimmer. It doesn't even just shimmer, it like glows itself. I think that could be really cool. Archon or Vicar could be cool words. Coin flip for conduit of luck. Yeah, so let's come up with the different. I mean, obviously they'll change, but for now, let's come up with the 12 that are current. Let's say for chapter 1, like which are the current 12 conduits? So maybe do we have one for death, or is that the grasp of the dark one? I think we'd leave that as the grasp of the dark ones. There is no. The venerants wouldn't want something of death because they already have one of death, right? Because all of the major gods are sanctioned by the venerants, right? And the Dark One's influence can only be carried out through minor gods or through major gods that turn to the Dark One, right? Like the ones that give in to his power and say, I already got my power. If you give me more, I'll help you. And then it backfires on them and they get, you know, chopped by the venerants. I think that could work. One for each major element. Chaos. I imagine the Dark One is also the god of chaos and death. I think like the entropy of the realm shifting and like overgrowth and chaos, I think could work. Can the venerants die? No. They do not die. They are eternal. Stigma death might not be as prevalent. Entropy, probability. Yeah. Let's just throw some down here. So we got luck as a potential one. Wonder. Which ones did I miss? Yeah, we could do fire as its own. I think it'd be really cool. Oh yeah, sky. We could do sky. We could do cosmos. We could do one for magic, I think, too. Since the different orders of magic exist kind of under one umbrella of magic, we could maybe do that. Yeah, justice is a good one. Miracles. Oh yeah, war, obviously. Trade and travel. Nature. Gods directly intercede in human events, like in Greek Roman mythology. They are characterized. Yeah, so the major gods are present. They are physically manifested in the realm. The venerants are beyond physical manifestation in the realm at this point in time. Previously, in the Dawning Age, they were allegedly, according to legend, more present. So, we have the chance to write major events into existence. Yeah, potentially. I think. Yeah, I'll definitely draw from your guys' ideas, and if we come up with something cool, then we'll throw it into the next chapters and whatnot. history. History, I'm not opposed to, but I feel like it's the charge of the the archive to be in charge of history. Like that's kind of what they do. Artisanry, let's throw that one in there. Venerants were the ones that banished the Dark One, correct. Not necessarily 12 branches of magic. How many branches do we have, actually? How many orders of magic? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 6, 7, 8. So there's eight orders of magic. So we probably won't have one for each. I think these are outside of it, but magic could be the major god over all of the orders of magic. Here, core leaf god. Luck should be changed to fortune. Yeah, I like that. Luck changed to fortune. Oracle of the gods. Okay. Emotion. Oh, do we have like love? Passion? Maybe passion. Because that can kind of include multiple aspects. It could include love or rage in a lot of ways. Rebirth, death. Talk about death being its own, just based on the Dark One having his last thread of control in the world. Fate, death, fear, silence. I like shadows though. Shadows isn't bad. Like shadows could be the one that is like kind of like not like Loki, but like he's a good god of the shadows, but by being the god of the shadows, you're the most likely to be tempted by the Dark One. I think could be kind of cool. I think shadows could also incorporate lies and betrayal as well. They could just represent that kind of thing. Trickery, shadows is dope. Yeah, I think like if we were to do the God of Shadows, he would also underneath will have like lies, deception, betrayal, fear. Like all that would kind of fall into that same one. And maybe the night as well. Shadows, yeah, probably could be very important because of the shadows of SpireHelm. Everybody refers to the land as the land of, or the shadows of SpireHelm. So, shadow being easily tempted feels easy. Yeah, could be. Betrayal of the conduit of shadows. Yeah. Can justice have corruption added to it? Could be. Dreams. Right, for the conduit of fortune. Trickster, magician, souls. Do we have one for travel? I'm trying to think. How many do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So if we were to cut 3 of them, no, 4 of them, we'd end up with 12, with Alythius being. And I think because I think at different points in time, the Venerants would crown certain gods as the king. So Alythius in this point in time is the king because this is the Age of Light. And so since the Age of Light, with Virillion being first, since then, I think it's always been the Conduit of Light that's ruled over the throne. It's probably a precedent. I don't think it's anywhere explicitly stated that the Venerants won't choose someone else. But I think in this realm, it's always been the Conduit of Light. So people are familiar with what they represent. And they are probably granted the most power. But yeah, Unknown. I like Unknown. Unknown could also go in the Shadows one. Law, I think, would go under Justice. Dreams. Do we say Dreams? Wonder. Do we say Wonder? I'm blind. Oh yeah, Wonder, I think would be Dreams as well. Knowledge and Wisdom. Oh, did we not put that anywhere? Oh, there we go. Wisdom, knowledge. And maybe the god of wisdom and knowledge is a like right-hand man to Alythius and kind of intercedes between him and the Grand Archivist for, you know, the workings of the archive. I could see that working pretty well. Magic could also be the god of wisdom and knowledge. I could see that, but because magic, only one of the forces, only one of the orders of magic is strictly from learning, which is just wizardry. I feel like magic as a power, I think, could come from its own deity. Or not necessarily from, but time. I like that one. That could be really interesting. I don't know. I don't necessarily want any bit of time travel in here. I think that just complicates everything way too much, and it's hard enough for one author to manage time travel, but yeah, we can definitely throw that one in. Flesh. That could be interesting. I feel like flesh could... Huh. I don't really know how we do flesh. I think flesh might fall under nature. Fate. I think fate would fall under fortune. Organics, I think that would fall under nature. Freedom, salvation. Yeah, maybe we want freedom. So the other thing cool with here is there a concept of anti-magic here? I think you counter magic with more magic. I think that's probably the rule here when it comes to that. So one of the nice things here is because we have all these ideas, at any given time we've got 12, but if they ever decide, you know what, the god of miracles is not working for us, we're at a different time, we need the god of war, the venerants could, you know, have those 12 be their conduits and kind of trade off a little bit. With an attack of pure light. The venerants probably banish the dark one. In legend, it's a war. There is nothing canonical yet, just that the shared consensus in the realm is that there was a great war and they fought together with power, banished him, and then created both the Titans and also SpireHelm's mountain to be built upon. So, fireball to fireball. Exactly. Steel or blacksmiths. I think that would kind of fall under nature or artisanry. A bit of depth could be cool. I feel like that would fall under shadows or the unknown. Okay, so I think fortune and fate, I think, is definitely one that we keep up at the top. I think magic is probably one that we'd want. We're talking about the current chapter 1 major gods. So I think we do fortune, magic. I think cosmos could be cool. However, we've also talked about how arcanism is connected to the cosmos, the laws of reality, and mana within. So that one could kind of get a little bit different. Let's do war. I think war is fitting. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. Yeah, I type on a completely different keyboard. I don't type QWERTY, so every time I try to do Control V, I always hit V, and then the layout I have is that makes it B, so it tries to bookmark stuff. I have to hit Control B, which is actually V, so it's a whole thing. Oh, wait, we got war. Let's do wisdom and knowledge. I like the idea of that one being here. Clean this up for a second. Cosmos is magic already. Yeah, that's how I kind of feel. Opposites as part of their domain. That could be kind of cool. Oh wait, the venerants also have their opposites. I feel like it could be cool to have an opposing. I don't really know. I don't know about opposites. It'd be cool to have like kind of a yin and yang thing, but how powerful are major gods in the realm? Alethius is very powerful. His presence alone was enough to keep the realm safe for that. Well, not Alethius and the other conduits of light that had been since Pharilion were enough. Their presence was enough to keep the realm safe for 4,600 years. Like that's how strong they are. Just their existence and their willpower. Yeah, Alethius, the god of aura. Yeah, seriously. So, and I think it varies between them. Like if we look at the SpireHelm symbol right underneath my face over here, we have like the big one. So Alethius is the biggest, obviously at the top. Then we've got the two on the sides that are a little bit bigger. And then we've got the two small ones, and then we got the two that go in the, east and west positions are a little bit bigger, and then the three on the bottom are about the same, and then we've got two other small ones. So I would imagine maybe representatively their power varies, and at different points in time you could be moved up the ranks in a way, and so you could be granted a position of higher power and whatnot. The Oh, I just had a crazy idea. If I was really good at drawing characters, which is probably my weakest form of art, even though I'm an artist, um, imagine in the archive of SpireHelm, or in the throne room, better yet, you have a stained glass window with this logo on it and shapes, but within each stained glass, you have a depiction of each of the gods in their positions. And every time a new god is granted, this stained glass window like automatically changes. And so Aletheus is always at the top, or the god of light, conduit of light, or whatever. But if you were the god of war, conduit of war, and you're in like the very bottom, and then at a time where the darkness starts coming back, they're like, we need war again, and the Venerants are like, bring back the god of war, and he gets moved all the way up to the top or one of the sides, and you have each of them in like a cool position. I don't know. I think that'd be super cool. I don't know if it fits the dark fantasy, but that would be super, super sick. In my brain, I'm like, that'd be cool in an animation or in a video game or something. That's the vision. Conduit of art, artisanry, I think would be art, or maybe we change artisanry to art. I think we could do that. I think because whether or not the god of, or the conduit of art would be or artist, I think we'll do artistry. Whether or not they're very important or powerful, I think just because of all of us being creative people, and we have a lot of people who like to draw and do art in the Discord, I think it'd be cool to have a god of artistry. I think that works. Love stained glass windows, yeah. Kratos canon, I guess so. Let's get a numbered list on these just for now. Well, yeah, wait. There we go. Okay. I think fire. I won't spoil too much, but the Ignis specs, if you guys were watching that, the teaser that I put out in that chat, obviously Ignis has something to do with fire, so I think they would potentially be related to that. Could we combine some gods in their domains? Yeah, I imagine you'd get minor gods that are aspects of two different major gods. So you could have fortune, fate, and magic be something like a bard or a trickster, or shadow. Like you have different combinations of all three. What font do I use? Right now, the main one I've been using is IM English. And then for annotations or fourth wall breaking, in my case, because there's some stuff in here that you guys need to know, but the people of the world would never publish or don't even know themselves, I use Spectral. But I think any serif font works for that. And this one just kind of looks cool. But that's what I've been using over here. That's what IM English looks like. Okay. Shadows and Justice, just the opposite ones. Yeah. Oh yeah, let's put Justice up here. I think that's a really important one. Justice. Let's do Shadows, because I think we kind of got to a cool point where that one was going. I like Passion. I think we'll do Passion. Whoa! Keep doing that. Okay. Nature, I think, is an important one as well. Let's clean this up a little bit. Oops. That's not S. The God of Light is Aletheus. Sorry, he's up here. He's the one that we have created right now. We're going to go through and kind of name some of these other guys for now. But for now, Aletheus is the conduit of light and protection, and that has been the case. The conduit of light and protection has been the king of the realm since the dawning of the Age of Light. So that is, it hasn't always been Aletheus. He's been there for a few hundred years. I don't know if we know exactly yet, but that is that. Dream and Wonder is a sign of hope in this dark time. Yeah, I think we do that. Let's do God of Wonder and Dreams. I think that would play in really well to foreshadowing in your stories, for people having dreams about things that then come to pass or don't come to pass, or they try to interfere with and then it still comes to pass because of some combination of the wonder, the dreams, and also the god of fortune and fate. I think that could be some really cool stuff. So yeah, that's 12 with everybody. Oh yeah, fire was already in there. That's 12. How are we feeling about that? Does that seem good? I think these others could be at a different time important. for now, I think for chapter 1-ish, I don't know which one we'll kill off, but for now I think that's a pretty good start. I think that covers a lot of the most important stuff. Could another nation follow other variables, venerants? Venerants are set in stone across the entire realm, like, or world, we don't really know. But another nation could I guess they could follow other minor gods, but I think the major gods only exist because the venerants grant them power. I think that's kind of how that works. Upgraded by their other gods to handle middle management. Yeah. So minor gods could literally be mortals that get enough power from some source to be deemed worthy of worship or whatnot. So they could either, worship the major gods, and the major gods grant them ability because they're doing their bidding, or for demons, they could be, from the Dark One and the lands of exile. They could be coming over the, whatever. They could be manifesting. However, elements like snow and storms are probably minor gods of the god of nature, or the conduit of nature. So I think that kind of works. And yeah, they can fluctuate based on their power source. So at different points in time, different minor gods could have a drastically different amounts of power. You could even say like a cult leader here, a cult leader necromancer could be considered a minor god. They have a following, they have power. I feel like if they have worshippers or whatnot, they could rise themselves up to a position of minor god. So you guys have complete free creative control when it comes to minor gods. We're just going to have this one be a little bit more set in stone so that people who are new here and want to just get creatively writing only have to take a look at, okay, who are the different gods? What are they doing? A lurker that got chosen as a minor god? See, that could be crazy. We talked about a potential group of, like a tribe of people that called the Deathstorm Nomads that go around following specters. They seek out and worship specters. It'd be really cool if they had if there was a Death Nomads or a lurker, like they would follow lurkers around and worship them somehow. I don't know how that would really work because nobody can see the true form of a lurker except for the specters, and they can't even describe it themselves because they're bound by magic to not do it. Can major gods appoint minor gods? Yes, 100%. I think a lot of minor gods would be appointed by the major gods. So if you have an idea that fits under, for example, if you wanted a god of light and protection that's not the conduit of light and protection, Alethius, you could just have him exist. You can just make him up yourself, make him or her up, or whatever, and they can exist within your stories. You guys don't have to worry too much about canonizing minor gods because that's where I want the freedom to be. I think it's, if you guys have ever seen the Holy Fool on TikTok, it's all AI stuff, but he has like the known gods, and it's like Vishnu, Yahweh, the different known gods of Muhammad and whatnot. I guess Muhammad's more of a prophet, and then he goes like the unknown gods, and it's like these crazy names. I don't know if I can show this on stream. I would love to pull it up. I don't know if I'm allowed to, or if I get copyright striked. But I like the idea of there being like known gods and then like unknown gods that are like discovered. Like you're a collector and you go out into a tomb and you open this coffin to try to see if there's any artifacts inside, and you awaken this like unknown god that is like of this super niche thing that's like the god of, I don't know, pancakes. Probably not that. Something cooler than that. But like the god of this very specific type of fungi that takes over the corpses, like a cordyceps type thing, Yeah, those TikToks are insane. Yeah. If you guys haven't, go check out Holy Fool. It's just, I'll just type it in chat. Holy Fool on TikTok. He's got some really cool stuff. When it comes to vibes, sadly, it's AI. I'm not going to do any AI here. I'm not opposed to it. I think they're really interesting and really cool. But for SpireHelm project specifically, we're obviously trying to do all this without AI. But really cool. God of Ash or something. Oh, that could be interesting. Oh, under the God of Fire, a minor God of Ash would be really cool, I think. One major god could be a conduit for 2 venerants. That's a really interesting idea. We'd end up with a lot of venerants. But I think it'd make maybe even more sense that each venerant has their own couple of gods. But then again, I think they come to, I would think, the venerants are obviously unknowable in a lot of sense. Like the only one that we know of is the Dark One, and it's because he was the one that got kicked out. Imagine a realm event that is a second Venerant has been kicked out and sent to the Land of Exile. That would be a crazy. Now there's two dark ones. That'd be pretty fun. Tempest. I think Tempest right now would be under nature. I think it's like sky, and I think at different points, maybe certain aspects of nature or passion or shadows or war or wisdom or knowledge, like for example, history, could be promoted to like a major god. Like they say, this is a time right now where we really need, a history and wisdom, and so they've both been elevated to major gods. But until then, they're all kind of, minor gods, or they just nobody's selected. Vengeance. Yeah, vengeance I think could go under passion, justice. I think in a way, vengeance is a method of justice or war. Um, but I think vengeance as a concept of a minor god could be really cool, where he like somehow works with all three: war, justice, and passion, and maybe fortune and fate in a way, and gets different aspects of power from each of them. Minor gods, a point chosen, almost like angels, are similar to the Dead 3 and Baldur's Gate 3. I haven't played Baldur's Gate 3. They're immortals given powers to serve them. Yeah. So I think the minor gods can give people power as well. A lot of that would fall under either anathergy or benediction. But if you wanted to create a character that is, for example, a paladin or a warlock or otherwise that serves some deity and gets their power from them, I think it falls under one of those two types of magic. But they can also be, exalted to some higher status like an angel or whatnot. All of that is definitely free and cool to do. Can the Dark One empower and choose his own minor gods like the rest of the Venerants? Yes, minor gods, not major gods. The Dark One does not have power to appoint major gods, but he does have the power to appoint minor gods, such as necromancers, demons, princes of evil, or whatever, his own seraphim of kinds and sorts. I would even argue that potentially the death storms themselves, they're not sentient. They're more of a spell than anything. They're more of a conjuration of the Dark One, but the death storms in a way are almost a minor god because of their power. Liches, Lich could be definitely something of a minor god if you wanted to make different liches. And maybe at some point, spoilers once again, if we did another realm event where at a certain point in time, past Alethius's vanishment, and we're getting, things are getting darker and darker, maybe 1, 2, or 3 major gods show up for the Dark One. Like their power is so great that maybe the major gods, the power from the Venerants is so weak at that point that they can't appoint. They don't have the power to appoint all 12, and they can only appoint 9. And that gives the Dark One enough power himself, since it's been growing, to appoint 3 of his own. So now you have 2 separate pantheons. And so people are, struggling to grasp, like, oh my gosh, this is, the balance is shifting. Do I want to be on this early, or are they going to come back and win? Like, you don't want to be on the good side or the bad side, and which one's going to be which? So that'd be really cool. Once again, that's like phase 2 kind of stuff, or late chapters, but I think that could be, I'm loving all these ideas. So can collectors from the library also assist the Storm Wardens in the search of knowledge, death storms, and their effects? Yes, actually, that you almost predicted one of my chapter 3 prompts, which is going to be something very similar. So yeah, collectors can be sent out with Storm Wardens. So did the major gods kiss the Grand Archivist? Maybe. No canon, nothing canon yet. Okay, let's get through here. Let's see. I will be right back. I'm just gonna use the bathroom really quick, and then we will get to naming these guys and whatnot. Let me put a for now in the chat. If you have an idea for a name like Alethius, or obviously any divine name could be cool. If you have an idea, put the number of which god it assigns to and the name in the chat, and then I'll come back and look through them in just a second. Okay, we're back. And no, I did not get flustered. Okay, let's see. Let's make each of these not numbered. Make each of these heading 1s. Oh, wait, no. Heading 2s. Let's throw down some ideas. So I saw for Fortune and Fate. We got Lucian. Solario. Helios. Oh yeah, sorry, I should have left the page up. I forgot. God of Magic being a goddess. That could be really cool. Insignia. Ignia. God of Magic being more a thing than a person. Yeah, but in this realm, I feel like these are the ones that manifest. Oh, you mean like a construct? That could be interesting. God of Messengers, Shadow, Varith. The only thing we have to be careful with is we can't use any copyrighted names. So if is Lucian, is that from Baldur's Gate? Am I getting that? Or am I crazy? Zing, God of Miracles. Oh wait, we don't have God of Miracles. God of Justice, Romulus. Oh, Remus and Romulus. That could be interesting. Remus, Romulus, Tauron, God of War. Lucian is an actual name, not just, okay, not copyrighted. As long as it's not like associated with anything specifically elsewhere. Because some names are like, obviously could just be used anywhere, but if it's specifically the god of something that relates to, oh yeah, Luck, Lucian, yeah, Luck, Lucian. God of Nature and Balance, Ilarion. Where did nature go? There we go. Justice. Takarin. I like that one. That's cool. Oh, wait, no. Takaran or Takarin. Faunus for nature. That could work. Ilarion sounds like a Pokemon. That's true. Artistry. Refald. Arcani. Arcala. I like Arcala. Where is magic? Rifald. Okay. Asmodeus for God of War. Conduit of War. Asmodeus. Auric. Noctira. Where did Wonder Dreams go? And on Ian, us, yeah, all of those kind of endings. Yeah, I mean, I've used Latin as a kind of when I'm looking for words, I've used Latin as a reference. But obviously, Warhammer is also very heavily Latin. Like custodians is a Latin term for guardian and protector. So we don't need to do everything us and sound Greek and Latin, but in a lot of ways, I think they do sound pretty cool. They should sound divine. Shadow God, Arania, derived from the Hungarian word for shadow. It's also the Latin term for spiders. I'm a huge, huge spider nerd. So I just so happen to know everything about spiders. But Arania is really cool for shadow. I could definitely see that one because I'm a huge spider fan. Arania. Artistry, Movia. Yeah. I'm having a lot of fun. Are you guys having fun? I'm having fun doing this. I mean, you guys have stuck around for like the whole time. I don't know if we've had people fluctuate in and out, but I'm having a blast. I'm not getting tired of this yet. So, plot twist: the GA is a huge spider nerd. Yeah, canonically, when the Grand Archivist needs to get around the library really fast, he rides a giant spider because it can like stick to walls and he can avoid the staircases that everybody else is using, so he can just like and fly around the walls on his giant spider. That's canonical. So. Zilch, God of Knowledge. Let's put that one in. We don't have anything for knowledge yet. Okay, I think that's a good start. We got at least one for each. I think now we go through Norse names too. Gorm. Yeah, I think we could do some Norse. Andromeda, God of Passion. That could be cool. Truve, God of Fire. Do we have a Truve? We have a Move Way or something? I don't know. Kranos. Okay. Yeah, maybe I don't want to like I don't want to make it seem like I'm doing free commissions because we don't have any budget right now, so it's not like I can pay artists to do official work. But if people wanted to in the gods and pantheons submissions at this point, once we have these people established canonically, we could people can submit their works that they think are depictions of these gods, which I'm sure will get drastically different results. But if one of them makes it to the point where we can hire someone to do an actual piece from the Discord, that'd be really awesome. Just right now, I'm kind of doing all that myself because I'm the one running it, and I'm also in art school, so I'm trying to build stuff for a portfolio, and I think this is a great creative outlet for me. So, but yeah, I don't want to make it seem like I'm like, hey, you guys should do we should do a competition to see who can draw the best Alitheius, and then the winner gets it to be canon, and he doesn't get anything in return. I don't love that idea, but yeah. Let's see. Sophite, Lucardilla, Irish for youthful tree, Cranog. Let's do Cranog. Love drawing gods and angels. Yeah, that'd be cool. Cerathis, that's a really cool one. I actually like that probably more than Andromeda, since that's one that exists in our world. Not that it's like copyright or anything, but Mebos, God of Wisdom. Iliadi. Almost sounds like Liliadi, but we'll put it down. Oh well. Let's put that here. Gunny. Yeah, let's go through. Okay, I think we're good on names. Let's go through one by one now. I think, how do we want to order these? Should we go, because I think it's helpful. I don't think people need to know that the gods are ordered like the SpireHelm logo and they are great, like it goes greatest, greater, minor, or lesser, major. I don't think people need to know that, but I think it'd be helpful to have them ordered in a sense that they are, if people was reading through them, do we just go clockwise from the top? And Aletheus is number 1, and then we go to the right. Does that seem decent? I think we could do that. Yeah, we're gonna get to vote on what name we like the best. I think so. I think we should vote on that and see. Clockwise makes sense. Yeah. Okay. Let's do. Press 1 if you want. If we want to order the gods first, and press 2 if you'd rather name them first. One, two, two, two. It's about 50-50. I'm seeing more 2s. Okay, let's go through and name them first. Okay, I'm just going to run a bunch of little polls here. So let's end this poll, because I'll do it for you guys that are here, since doing one in the Discord isn't probably bad, but... Oh, whoops. Okay, that's completed. Okay, so let's name them first. So let's do we all like Lucian? Is it Lucian or Lucian? How do we pronounce that? Do we all like that for Fortune and Fate? Or should we go with something else? Yeah, we like that? Okay. Let's do that. Lucian. Okay, Lucian. Okay. Lucian. Oh, I'm getting 2 different answers. I don't think it really matters either way. What conduit of... Which one do we put? Light and Protection, or do we do Fortune and Fate? I mean, I don't want all of them to have 2. I think Aletheus does, because I think the king, being the king of the realm, also grants you this one. It's your implied job to protect the realm. I think that's pretty standard and pretty fair. I don't know if I want all of the gods to have multiple. I'd rather them just be a conduit of one thing. And the Fate can fall underneath it. So do we do Fortune or Fate, do we think? Good luck and bad luck. Both are called Lucian, but are pronounced different. Oh, so Lucian is for bad luck and Lucian is for good luck, kind of thing? That'd be pretty interesting. Fate, Fortune, Fate. Oh, 50-50 again. Let's do a poll. Fate or Fortune? Okay, let's see it. We'll vote on this one officially. Fortune is more common. Fate seems more unique. Yeah, I can see that. His name is literally Luck Ian. Yeah, I could see that too. It's pretty close. 59, 49%. Lucius for bad luck. Oh, Lucian for good luck, Lucius for bad luck. That's not bad. That's not bad. It'd be really interesting to see people refer to the same god in different ways. I feel like that one and like probably a couple of the other gods could be seen as double-sided. And maybe maybe as we go through this, if all of the gods are like that, maybe Aletheus is only one of the only ones that's like single-sided. But it'd be really interesting if a lot of the gods had 2 different sides to them that different people either worshipped or at different points in their worship looked at them differently. Okay, we're looking at Fate. So I think Fate wins this one out. I think we do Fate, and then within Fate, we can do Fortune, because I think both could eat. Fortune is a part of Fate, and Fate is also a part of Fortune. So let's just put this. Why is that not working? Am I on this? Here we go. Fortune, luck. Let's do Lucian. Good. Do we do Lucian or Lucius? Yeah, I think Lucius. Misfortune. Yeah, fortune, luck, misfortune, kind of inevitability, I think. Good luck, bad luck. Okay, I like that. I think that's a pretty good start for now. Whoops. I can't type right now. So the magic you witchcraft for necromancy. Yeah, I think the god of magic could have two sides as well, where one of them represents the more good forms of magic, whereas hematurgy, anathurgy, and even alchemy in some instances in history could be looked at as bad. Like I know when the Illuminati started, it was scientists that were religious men that were being told by the church that they weren't allowed to study science because it was heretical. So in a lot of ways, I feel like alchemy and the study of science, maybe even arcanism, the laws of like all of those could be considered dark arts, yes, at some point in history in this world. I don't think that's outside of the realm. So at certain points in time, I feel like the god of the conduit of magic could have two different sides as well. Completely real. This idea of Lucian started as an OC of mine. Well, guess what? They just got promoted to major god. Congratulations. Yeah, alchemy was often seen as demonic or heretical. Yeah, arcanism is definitely dark. Yeah. We'll go over magic a little bit. I've had a couple people saying that mana coming from within might not fit into arcanism and might fit more into sorcery. So we might need this one might get retconned and get changed a little bit. But I think I agree. Arcanism is definitely a little bit, definitely a dark art. So maybe we can. I'm liking this idea of two different sides to divinity. Okay, that is Lucian. Let's go to magic. Let's do another poll here for this one. Okay. Start a poll. Do we like Iliadi, Archella, or keep brainstorming? Start poll. Let's see how this one works. Magic doesn't have morality. Mages should all have evil, even if they want to do good. Yeah, I think I agree. Magic is a tool. However, the Dark One's magic is technically evil to the Venerants. Venerants see the Dark One's magic as evil, so I see that going either way. Okay, looks like we're sitting at keep brainstorming. Archula feels too on the nose. Iliadi feels a little bit too out there. I can see that. Um, Okay, we can keep brainstorming this idea. Um, Other names. I think I threw Iliadi in there. That was the one that nobody assigned to anything specific. Magus could work. The only problem is if it's too on the nose like Magus, these gods change and die and are replaced by other new gods and conduits of magic. So that one would get a little bit weird. I thought about like Merlin as well, but he's kind of more of a person in fantasy history. So Manera, Mirren. Okay, so let's get rid of these. Manera, Myron, Velaki, Mordania, Aileron. Isn't that an airplane part? Mordavius. Magnus. Ooh. Drowy. I can't type. Where's D? Drowy. Ouroboros. Kessim. Belgai like. Okay. Let's start with these for now. John Magnus. Okay. Opus. Opus could be cool. Um, Valaki, Mordania, Aileron, Mordavius, Thelga. I'm liking Thelga. Prestida. Greek root for enchantment. Opus. Vernus. If Vernus wasn't so close to Vermis, then I might. But okay, let's oh, I didn't think about, we could also think about other crystals or elements that exist in the world, is because like opal is like a stone, crystal of some kind, like a, what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, the only problem is Opus would then have to change his name or change their name in the Discord because that's their collector name. So yeah, because otherwise we'd have a major god that's also a thing. But if we like Opus, we can vote. Let's throw a vote in there. Quartza. I'm gonna do Thelga. Let's do. Oh yeah, Opius isn't bad. Goodness, I can't type at all right now. Holy cow. One finger is on the wrong key. Opius. Moloch. It's a bit like opium. Yeah. Lech is your collector name. Oh, that actually works, I guess. What was the other one? What was this guy? Hey. Drow. Okay, let's do Mirren. I think Mirren's another good option. Okay. Let's see. What will the fates decide? Mirren, Opus, Thelga, Opius. Oh, it's neck and neck, Mirren and Opus. Opus will get canonized today twice, potentially. Who knows? Moloch is pretty sick. Although it does sound like Moloch, which is not like one of those conspiracy theory gods that people think that the government worships or something. Thelga, but maybe for a different god. Okay. Mirren is winning out by 2%. Got 29 votes. There's 36 people in chat, I think. So we'll push it to 32 votes. 32, 30? All right, so let's just give it one more second. Thelga for nature. I'll throw that in there for nature. I don't know if we have that many. Oh, we do have a couple. Thelga. Okay. Oh, jumping back for a split second. Lucian is he, I would imagine. He, him. All that matters. But I think for people worshiping him, it helps to have a bit of a pronoun. Miro. Oh, we could combine them. Miro and Opus. Lucian is an old man. Interesting. Okay. I'll just do that. Old man. Young man. Ah, hear me out, hear me out. Lucian is an old man. Lucius is a bad man. Or a young man. Did I say that right? Like the young, proud, kind of like, if I can't succeed, neither can you, is like the young man that's Lucius. And then the old man who's like, I've had my time. I wish you the absolute best in your fate and fortune. And it's like the old, wise, kind of kind guy. I think I like that. So Lucian is old man. Lucius is young man. That way you get kind of like almost like a, well, no, not America. Nicola, the kind, and Irina. Like you kind of get, or not Irina. Gosh, what's the one from the DLC? I can't think of it right now. Anyways, okay. I'm going to end the poll. Mirren did win out, but I'm going to do one more. Really quick one. Miris or Mirren? Is it a combination, or do we just keep Mirren? Really quick. We're going to go for like 10 seconds max. Whichever one wins out in the next 5 seconds, I think we'll go with. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Okay, we're going Miris. Let's do Miris then. Okay, perfect. I probably shouldn't delete all these names. Maybe we should just... Oh, whoops. Let's just move them all down in case we take them later for other stuff. I'll have a big notes in my Obsidian vault. I'll just keep all these names so that if we ever do this brainstorming again for when we cut out a new, like for a new chapter, when we cut out some of these gods and put new ones in, we'll do that. So Miris it is. Double R, 1R. I think I like 1R. Saint Trina, that's the one. Thank you. Conduit of magic and mysticism. Okay. Male, female, otherwise. I think it makes the most sense to have all of them be either male or female, or have two sides that are like Saint Trina and Mikola, where it's like one's a female, one's a male. I think could be kind of cool. Why Conduit? We decided they're all major gods, so they're the god of fate, they're the god of magic. Just that the Venerants choose aspects of reality that they deem important, and at any given time they choose 12 conduits, one for each of those, or 12 gods, to each be a conduit of a certain aspect. So in this case, Alethius is the god of light and protection, but he is the conduit for the Venerants to be that said thing. Woman magic? Yeah, I think we do woman. I love Renala. Renala's like super cool. Elden Ring's like my favorite video game, so like a lot of this inspired, like it's a huge touchstone. Obviously, it's like one of the most popular dark fantasy. It's not retro dark fantasy, but it is dark and fantastical, and it's awesome. I would love to have a Renala type character in here, but I'm also cool with anything else. Young female. I imagine I don't want a witch. I don't want like McGonagall level old, but I think if we do a androgynous, I think we do passion. I think passion would be a really cool one for androgynous. 'Cause it kind of shows, it would show the two different sides of passion differently. I think could be really cool. Beast like war could be something beast like that could be cool. Oh yeah, I didn't think we also haven't is Lucius, I think Luck, is he a gnome or is he a human? I forget we have different races in here that we can totally use. Alethius is a dragonborn or dragon in. Is Dragonborn copyrighted by D&D Wizards of the Coast? I think Dragonborn might be. Dragon man hybrid. Yeah, imagine Lucius is a gnome. Yeah. He's a gnome, but he would be 10 feet tall if he's a human. So he's actually like a 6 foot tall gnome. So he's like taller than most people, but he looks like proportionally, he's like a little gnome man. Gnome or halfling, yeah. Dragonborn is copyrighted. Okay, so we'll come up with a new name for the Dragonborn dragon hybrid, but I think Dragon Folk, yeah, that could work. Let's put that in as a placeholder for now. Okay, so we got Dragon Folk, we got that. So first fantasy race for the Conduit of Magic. Also, because this is like retro dark fantasy, I think all orcs, general rule of thumb, are evil, like Lord of the Rings style, where they're not really redeemable. They don't have a lot of nuance. They're not super intelligent. I think because we're sticking with that retro feel where like it's the good guys and the bad guys and there's not a lot of mix. However, for individual stories, if somebody is like a child of a human and an orc and they have that nuance, where like a half orc, I think that's where the nuance can come from. But I think as a standard, I think the orcs are just kind of bad. Orcs and goblins are just evil. Not to say we couldn't have a god in here of that, but I think as a standard rule of thumb. Drake folk, Drakekin, yeah, could do some of that. Drake spawn, dragon blood. I like dragon blood. Can throw that in. Orklings. Where do we go? Dragon blood. Okay. So for Mirrors, what are some potential ones we could do? We obviously have human, elf. I think really fits, but doesn't need to. We could do dwarf. We could do moth. Yeah, we could do moth. We could do fae of some kind, or fairy. Yeah, fae, fairy. Ball of light. I want these to be manifested in like physical manifestation, so not anything amorphous. Fairy god. I think fairy god could also work really well for nature. I think nature would be a really good fairy. Hobbit. Hobbit is copyrighted, but halfling isn't. I don't think so. Dragonborn is not copyrighted. It's just used by Elder Scrolls and D&D the same. Oh, interesting. Okay. I think we could do puppet goddess. Is cool for magic. That'd be interesting, but then somebody has to puppet them, unless their essence is just magic and it manifests into a puppet, I guess. I can see that for this current one, though. I don't know. Let's vote. Let's get a poll going. Mirrors. Got, I think, elf, fae / fairy, if we're doing female, and puppet, and magic being artificial. Yeah, like it manifests into something. Like Pinocchio, but not. Okay. Let's do this one. Let's go ahead and vote on that. Magic is naturally occurring in the world. Yes. Magic happens. Magic in this world is about the source of the power. So you could be a wizard and a sorcerer at the same time. You could use aspects of both. Excuse me. You could be a arcanist and druidcraft, or benediction and hematurgy and whatnot. So make nature god fae, not the magic god. Yeah, we have enough gods that we're bound to overlap at least once. When it comes to, yeah, elf is pretty basic. And obviously these people will rotate out. So this is the current one for quote unquote chapter 1, where the phase we're in right now. Should there be different kinds of elves? Yes, I would imagine there are woodland elves, there are dark elves, there are, city elves. But I think they could range from anywhere from small, like fantasy elves that are more akin to fairies, and then it could also range up to human or taller, the immortal kind. So if going god is a different race, cool concept. Okay, looks like Faye's winning out, so let's do fairy for now. Fairy / Faye. Woman, I think, or I think maybe a young woman. I like the idea that every race originates from one god. The only difference is that these gods rotate. They die, and then a new one fills their place. So the next god of magic or of light and protection might not be a dragon folk. So that's the only one. That's the only thing that I think would prevent me from doing that. Okay, let's get to the Conduit of War. Let's go. Everybody's favorite. Asmodeus, Auric, and Tauron. Go ahead and vote. This is pretty fun. I'm having fun doing this. This is really good. I think this will be really helpful for a lot of people that are hoping to write. Yeah, I think it'd be really cool to have a female Conduit of War. I think as of right now, we go pretty, sadly, we got to go kind of archetypical so that people can assume what's the most likely, when they're new to the world. It helps to have everything you know, once again, we're building this in a shared fantasy that we all have the same vision of. We all have seen the slideshows. We've all seen this trend. That's what we're going for. So whatever is most in line with that is what we should push for. But obviously, we want our thing to be, we want SpireHelm to be its own, have its own characteristics and character. So Helga for Goddess of War would be really cool. Yeah, that could be really cool. Okay, it looks like Tauron's winning out by quite a bit. So let's do that. Tauron, Conduit of War. Okay. Do we have a Asmodeus is too well known, the demon. Abraham demon. Okay. Ideas for creature. What race do we choose for Tauron? Tauron? Yeah, I think either. I don't know. Orc. Could be an orc. Minotaur. See, Minotaur is pretty archetypical. I like that. Beasterman, something with horns. Yeah. Minotaur. Minotaur could be really cool. Or I'm thinking if we didn't want a Minotaur, we wanted something unique that hasn't been done as much in fiction, we could do a serpent human mix. Could be cool. Because Minotaur is bull man, but it's hind legs of a bull with like the structure like the chest of a man, but the head of a bull. Could also do like a bull type centaur. So it's like the back half is a bull's torso, but as the head, it would be like a centaur where you have a huge, massive chest, and then on his head, it would be a human head, but with like bull horns that would come out, type of thing. Does that make sense? Like I don't think I've seen that in fantasy yet. Could be cool. So let's do a little poll. Let's do Tauron. Jousting armor. Yeah, this dude would be like completely plated up, I would imagine, with all the chainmail. He'd have probably the biggest drip in the kingdom aside from aura farming Aletheus himself. So Minotaur or Bull Centaur guy. Okay, let's get this one going. Eagle God of War. I like that one too. A Birdman, a big like the Guardian from Night Rain, Elden Ring Night Rain. That would be really cool for Conduit of War. Or if we ever got a God of Protection, that could be a really cool one too. But we should keep Eagle person or Bird person in the back of our mind for the rest of these, because I think we could definitely... Fire could be really cool as like a Phoenix person. I'm just going to throw that in there because I like that idea. Is it Phoenix? I think. Okay, we're pulling pretty far ahead with Bull Centaur Man guy. So, what does the word centaur come from? Centaur roots. Centaur. Linguistic roots. Tauros is bull. Okay, so the Tauros part comes from bull. Bull piercer, horseman who hunted bulls. Okay. Kentauros. One theory is Kentauros is a compound of Kento to prick, Tauros bull. Okay. Centaur etymology. Yeah, maybe that's a better way to put it. Etymology. Oh, there we go. Kentauros, centaur. Okay, so it comes mostly from Greek and horseman of known origin. Torso of a man like he's a horse. And yeah, I know what it is. I'm just thinking, do we name this new creature? Does anybody know of anything in fantasy that's like this? I've never heard of anything like this. It just came to me on the spot, so I feel like we could invent. We are designing gods. If you're new here, we are going through the major pantheon of the 12 major gods in the realm. So we are going through and kind of naming each one and giving them kind of descriptions, brief stuff. So I don't know. I don't know, Boltar, Kentaros. Should we just call him a Kentar or a Kentoros? I think it exists in Greek myth. Okay, so it might be there. Conduit of War. Yeah. So for Halid or anyone else new here, or Halid TR, um, the Venerants are like these amorphous gods outside of the realm that don't manifest, but they're major gods, and they choose 12 of them at a time to represent different, um, you know, core elements of nature and reality. And so they are sometimes referred to as conduits for the Venerants, but they're more just gods of light and protection, conduit of fate, magic. We're now on the conduit of war. So, Greek roots. Anthratar, Greek roots for man and bull. That could work. Kentaros. Anthratar. Whoops, that didn't work. I think I like Anthratar, honestly. Anthrator. Yeah, let's go with Anthratar. Okay. For now, at least, for a placeholder. So, body of a bull. Chest of a man. Oh, Tauron being. That's true. It's a funny coincidence. Tauron is literally. Yeah, he's a Tar and he's a Tauron. That's pretty cool. Maybe every single one of the gods of war are a combination of some beast with an aspect of strength or whatever aspect of war they believe to be the most important. So right now, the bull's charge and strength and pushing and like that brute muscle is why Tauron was chosen. Maybe every time they choose one, the next one could be part bird and be or part snake if they need something more like wise and striking and conniving. Um, but each one is like a mix of an animal and a man, and maybe that's granted to them. They could be normally they're a human or they're an elf or whatever, and then when they're granted godhood, they get all of these different things. So, dragon, yeah, yeah, lion, wolf, all of those things. Chest of a man, head of a human with bull horns. So wheat. That is Tauron, conduit for war. Or yeah, maybe part of their nature could be maybe when they're granted the ability, maybe they get like the beast form ability type of thing, where depending on how they want to manifest. I think it's cooler to have an icon for the world to worship that's like set. So I think the bull would work better. I think it'd be cooler to have each time they call a new one, it's a new animal, than to have one guy who can shapeshift into a bunch of different animals. At least for war, maybe nature, they can shapeshift and change. Um, ants, because they actually have wars in real life. Yeah, ants would be sick. Super cool. Okay, let's do wisdom and knowledge. What happens to a conduit's body when they die? That's a really good question. I actually don't know. I imagine they have in SpireHelm in the kingdom or something. If they had a heroic death, it's like like a glorious, beautiful, and ornate tomb dedicated. They have a set of. They would have a. Is it a mausoleum? Is that where you bury people? They'd have like a mausoleum or a tomb for each aspect, for each one of the one for light, one for wisdom, one for artistry, and each time one of the gods dies, they use them, they bring them to that tomb, and within that mausoleum or tomb, things can be produced there, surrounded by the powerful magic. So if you need like a really cool artifact, like you just said, Gambit, like you could produce it in that hall, in that mausoleum, so that you're surrounded by the most powerful magic in the entire realm in one place when it comes to wisdom or knowledge or artistry or justice or whatnot. I think that'd be really cool. An artifact that if eaten gives massive power, yeah, so like some type of sacrament where you like consume the body or something. That'd be really crazy. Melt down Alethius' corpse to make a magic door knocker. You sound like you're getting banished to the lands of exile, my guy. Better watch that mouth. Okay, let's do wisdom here. Start a poll. Wisdom. Mevos or Mevos if with one eye. Zilch. Zilch means nothing, so I'm not sure if it's a great name. Yeah, we'll do keep brainstorming as an option. You eat the heart of Tauron and just become a bull. That would be nuts. Be sick. Okay, looks like keep brainstorming is winning by like 80%. So let's throw some more ideas. Wisdom and knowledge. Let's get a English to Latin. Let's just see. I think I've looked at this before. Scientia. Wisdom. Sapient. Right. Prudence. Litera. Ethereal. Yeah, let me write some of these down. Ethereal sounds very Lord of the Rings. I like it. Brabus. Have to be an elf. Yeah, probably. Arcoba. Yeah, maybe they're like been around for a long time. Maybe the wisdom one is the least, has the longest lifespan because they're the ones who need to know the knowledge. Tetheries. Okay, let's go with these. I like these. No, not tethered. Tetheriz or tetheries. The other option we do have for this, if we really want, is that the Grand Archivist could be a major god of wisdom. I could see that. I could also see that they report to the god of wisdom and then they report to the throne type of thing, like they're kind of a stand-in, or they, they're like 3 in 1, kind of like a, the Archivist, the god of wisdom, and Alythius, or whoever is the king of the throne. So yeah, self-insert. Yeah, I want to be the god. No, I don't know. I think I'd rather keep. I liked the idea originally that the Grand Archivist refused the throne. Oh my gosh, keep doing that. Refused the throne and as such revoked his identity to become nothing but the Grand Archivist. And so because the Grand Archivist has been around longer, he's the oldest person in the entire realm technically. There's no one who's lived longer than him because the Venerants themselves through Pharilion gave him pretty much immortality to live through and past an entire age of light. So in some ways he's probably more knowledgeable, or at least has been around longer than the God of Wisdom, because at any point the God of Wisdom could be replaced or die. So I like the idea that he's in some ways above. Yeah, Codex Sovereign, all hail. Okay, so we'll leave that aside for now. We'll make it their own thing. Let's go through the names. How old do elves get? I don't know. Do we do... Oh, whoops, we need to end this poll. Do we do immortal elves? Or do thousands of years elves? Maybe 1,000 years? So there could have... If all of the gods of wisdom were elves, we'd be on our 5th right now, roughly. If they were born... I mean, we'd probably be on our, like, 6th. Maybe 8th. I guess if they have to live for a couple hundred years and then they're granted 750, is that D&D's? Yeah, I don't want to be too close, but I think the shared fantasy of dark fantasy is kind of that they live for a really long time. Yeah, 1,000 years would be the longest. Being a god also grants, yeah, good point, Conastone. You get immortality in a way. You get lengthened life just by being a god. So in some ways, this person's probably going to be around for longer than elves live. So if elves live for 600 years, this person's probably been around for 1,200 or so. So, yeah. Can we add Mevos back in? I'm not opposed to that. Wait, which one do we end up on? Mirus. I don't know. Let's see. Wisdom. Let's start a new one. Yes, every god is immortal, or not every god. Every god is susceptible to being killed. Every god is mortal in the sense that they can die, but their lifespans could be pretty long. Okay, Ethereal. Bravus, Arcova, and Tetheris. Or Tetheres. Let's vote on this one. An owl folk, the god of wisdom. That could be pretty cool. That's pretty archetypical. I think elf works well, but maybe they have like owls or an owl that like accompanies them. Oh, here's an idea. Maybe the owl, their owl, is the one that lives forever and transfers, like Bene Gesserit style, transfers the wisdom from the last god of wisdom to the next. So they compound, and they always have this owl, but the owl possesses this magical property to translate and add all of this memory to the god of wisdom. And so for the first little bit of each god of wisdom's reign, they just like are overloaded with information, like eons and eons of stuff and facts and lore and everything that's ever been known. They're just like, it's thrown onto them, and they just like collapse for weeks at a time until they can, the veterans obviously give them enough strength to survive it. But if someone was to try it and they were immortal, they would just be absolutely wiped. So that'd be really cool. Okay, Ithriel is winning out. Let's do Ithriel. I think the God of Wisdom is probably, in this era, probably the second most important god. Like it's behind Alythius, because the archive is such a central part of the kingdom. I think Ithriel is probably going to be one of the well-known gods. So let's do, I think we'll do knowledge. I think knowledge makes more sense, and wisdom can fall under knowledge, because knowledge, if they're really going to learn everything from the owl, I think that takes it. So conduit of knowledge. Got it. Okay, conduit of knowledge and okay, wait, nameless owl? No name owl. Okay. Nameless owl of wisdom transfers all knowledge to the conduit. Knowledge from past on the air. Okay, nameless. Yeah, nameless owl TM. Trademark the nameless owl. Its construct defies, bears a standard social construct. Nameless owl for life. Yeah. Okay, wait. Now we gotta. I love animals. So let's pick an owl species that it looks like. I mean, obviously we can combine multiple owls, but I mean, obviously we got barn owl. That's like classic. We got winter owl, snowy owl, just like Hedwig. Great horned owl is very iconic when it comes to wisdom. I think a lot of people picture great horned owl. Screech owl. Got burrowing owls for kind of more cute. I feel like great horned is kind of the archetype. Got to be the oldest looking owl ever. You're right. You are right. Puerto Rican owl. I think great horned is kind of the icon, right? And we can make it a different color. We can make it like, its feathers could be like iridescent instead of like normal, but I think shape wise, yeah, the owl is in the heads of the cosmonauts, like the little parasite in their brain, like whispering secrets. Yeah. Okay, so I think we do a giant great horned owl, and obviously if this person's 10 feet tall, or maybe 11 if they're an elf, then this owl sitting on their shoulder being, like, how big are great horned owls? $18 to 25 inches tall. That's like freaking, that's huge. And if we go on the big end, 25 is like, that's like 2 feet tall. So if we almost double that, that's like 4 foot tall owl. Yeah, 4 to 5 foot tall owl. I think I like that. Like a humongous beast. We're talking huge. White barn owl are probably coolest looking. Yeah, I think we go with the great horned owl just for archetypical sense. But I think we make it look so old, if I ever get around to drawing it, And if people want to draw their own fan art, they're more than welcome to. So, Nameless Owl of Wisdom, Great Horned Owl shape. Do like iridescent feathers, like a hummingbird, where they kind of shimmer, or do we like something else? Do they have an element to them? Are they like on fire? I mean, that doesn't really go with wisdom, but I think in general, but at least let's just say 5 feet tall. I think it's just big by itself. Something more boring gives more mystery. I guess that's true. All black, bronze feathers. Yeah, I guess if we make it too fantastical, it doesn't feel like a mysterious nameless owl, because then it's kind of like, oh, it's the one that looks like, if it's just big, that's scary enough. Iridescent eyes. Oh yeah, I like glowing eyes. Glowing / iridescent blue eyes. Golden rings on its claws. That'd be cool. Yeah, I like that. Silver. Yeah, maybe we just do silver. Like, it's almost like a barn owl or a snowy owl, but it's got a little bit of shimmer to it. Nothing like reflective, like you're not chrome, but like a silvery shimmer that makes you just go, goodness, that's like, yeah, a gray is kind of like old, but yeah, okay, I kind of like that. We're doing elf. I think male, old. I think like the second that bird transfers that knowledge, they age like 150 years immediately. So no matter what they do, they will look old. Even if they are 100 years old as an elf, they are going to look old just based on their experience and knowledge. So they will always have that, like, a beard or whatnot. So I like this. This is probably my favorite one we've made so far. I don't know. They're all really good, though. They're all really good. Okay, let's move on to artistry. We're getting through this. We've been going for like 3 hours almost, I think. Just crazy. But maybe the owl visits some people in some stories, or seeing an owl is a sign of knowledge, of new knowledge to come. Yeah. I imagine in like the owl, honestly, is probably a minor god if you think about it. That thing has so much power, probably more power than the the conduit of knowledge itself. Like, technically, it's the one that transfers the power. So if you were visited by that minor god, people could maybe even worship it in a way, or it could go out and visit, or it could send its own owls. Maybe all owls in the realm are representative of this nameless owl of wisdom. I think that'd be kind of cool. Yeah, and you have to speculate as collectors. Yeah, owl has beef with Odin. Okay, artistry. Let's get through this. Move way. I don't know how you pronounce this. Oh wait. Artistry. Crows are natural enemies to the owls. Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. Crows are also really smart. So the shadow guy could have a crow. That's also pretty archetypical. Like, ooh, shadows, crows. I also love crows. I think they're really cool. I want to have one as a pet someday if they were legal. But it'd be super, super cool. Move way and Refald. And we'll do brainstorming. Okay, let's get this poll going. Chat, what have I missed? A lot. Void, how long have you been gone? You've missed like the entire thing. Only like 3 hours now. Just kidding. It's not that important, but you can find all of it. This stream will also be up. Really a super long one, probably longer than the last one. But my bad, I was busy. No, you're totally good. We went over chapter 1, and now we're doing the gods. But it's all good. It's all good. Okay, we like move way. Keep brainstorming is close. Yeah, don't worry about it, Void. But yeah, I know you're super in the Discord all the time, so I feel bad that you probably missed out on a bit of it. Let's see here. Okay, let's go with how do we pronounce this move way? I don't know how to pronounce this. Move way? Name him Go, Van Gogh. I don't really know how you pronounce this. Movu? 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 Mouvel? Mouvel? Moufway? I could see that. Moufway? Yeah, I'm not really sure. I don't know. It seems a little bit confusing. If I was a newcomer, I'm trying to think of how easy it would be for newcomers to kind of get into this and use it. Yeah, we'll go with that for now. Muwe? Mavea? Muvea? Maybe we just Muvea. Mevwe. Mevwe? Mevwe? Muvea? I like Muvea maybe a little bit better. How do you feel about that? Does that make it a little bit easier? Muvea? Yeah. Yeah, let's just do that for simplicity's sake. I liked all the other suggestions, just that we voted on this one. So we'll stick with this one for now. Okay, artistry, female, I think. That feels very artistic, generally. Or we could have different sides of it, where like masonry falls under like a male manifestation, and the other artisanry like baking or murals and whatnot could fall under the other side of it. See both those working. Race, human. I feel like in a way, human is like the most like artistic. Like we're the ones who invented art in a way. Like I know that's like canonically like we're the only humans on Earth, but like I like the idea that humanity is very like art is very human in nature. Although in like Lord of the Rings, obviously the elves and the dwarves have really cool stuff that looks very, you know. Let's see. Mantis. Or yeah, we could go with some other creature, but I like the idea of it being a human. Should look like they come from the Renaissance. True. Shortest lifespan of all the gods. Could be interesting. Yeah, let's go human. Muvea sounds female. So we'll go human female. Any aspects of, do they have a companion? I don't know if everybody does. Nobody has a companion other than the elf male with the Owl of Wisdom. Androgynous, do we do androgynous? Okay, let's do that. Androgynous. Androgynous human. Artistry or artisanry? Both, but I think we'll do artistry. Yeah. It'd be like the the epitome of humanity. Like we mixed all of humanity together. This is like what you get. Because art is like the combination of, lived experiences and whatnot. That'd be kind of cool. Yeah, I think that works for now. I don't know if we really need to. I don't think there's any other really big aspects to it that we need to flesh out for that one. Okay, fire. Let's get through names first. Ever-changing human form. That I like even better than androgynous, actually. Every time it's a different human with a different aspect. Curly, straight, and wavy hair. Yeah, I like that actually better. Ever-changing human. That would be really cool. Okay, let me get this one. One of them's got to be a puppet. Yeah, I'm trying to think of which one could be a puppet. Dreams? Wonder and Dreams be a puppet, I think. Could work really well. Okay. Let's go back up to fire. Name time. Got Solario, which I like, but the only difference is that it's not the god of light, it's the god of fire. So, Truve. Yeah. Okay, is there any one of these four that we should cut? Should we cut Solario because it's too similar to the soul being the sun? Should we go? Because I'm seeing some other recommendations in here that I also like. Cut Helios, cut Ignia. Helios. Oh, Helios is a Greek god. Okay, Helios already exists. We will cut that one. It's a fair point. Okay. There was one other one I saw in here that was pretty cool. Beatrice. Yeah, we'll cut Solario. Other. Okay. Let's start with these and see how we feel. Emberoa, like Ember. I like that one. We could also do one. Ignia is copyrighted. Oh, good to know. I'd also be down for one of these gods. I don't care which one, but I think it'd be really cool to have one that they change their name to the same name. So you have multiple beings taking upon themselves the same name every single time. Could be kind of cool. Just an idea. Okay, Leatrice and other are tied. So we'll put Leatrice in the next round. Oh, whoops. Leatrice. Okay. We'll end this one. Okay. Ignis. Ignis is really cool. I agree, but we've got something coming down the pipeline called Ignis Specs, which also has to do with fire, and I'm sure they're related to this god, but I don't want the Ignis Specs to be related to Ignis. It's a little too close. So I'm gonna pass on that one. Vulcan, inspired by volcanoes. I do like that. And another thing to consider with fire is a double-edged sword. It is simultaneously the thing that gives everybody life and food and the ability to eat meat and cook and make bread. However, on the other hand, it also burns things down and can be used as a weapon. And, so I think some aspects of that could be cool. Yeah, Vulcan is a Roman god. That is true. So it's kind of hard. Janus also, I think, is Janis. I think is also. Ignis is used for fire spells. Yeah, that makes sense. Certarus or Cerberus. Fervan. Moltor. I like Moltor if it's like going with like a. Oh right, we need Emberoa. Focus. Berenice. Oh, and a Primarch. Oh, is he the Salamander's Primarch? Or isn't that the world that the Salamanders are from? Or no, is it Salamanders? Right, are they the green ones? Which one are we on? We are on fire. Sorry. If you're hopping in. I like Cerberus. Let's do that one. Certarus. Okay. Poll is up. Maybe he has multiple names across SpireHelm. That could be one too. I could definitely see people. We could do a similar thing to Lucian, where different people in the land look to the god of fire differently. If they're using it for destruction, they pray to the god of fire to burn everything down. If they pray to the god of fire to help them cook or produce metals or forge, like they could look at things a different way. Fire got a lady. That could be really cool. I mean, I could like some fire hair, like a curly haired female or something. Leatris does have aura. Cerberus is winning. I think I like. Wait, who said that? Yeah, Halid TR or Halid TR. I think I like that idea of it being similar to Lucian. Although we need like one name in front. I think Cerberus sounds more destructive, and Leatris sounds more general fire. So what do we think of? Whoops. Leatris being the conduit of fire. And we have Cerberus, destructive aspect, and do we just keep the other, like Leatris is the good fire and Cerberus is like destructive fire? Or do we throw a couple more in there with Moltor being like the forge and Emberoa being like the hearth, like keeping you warm and whatnot? Can't decide. Fire and warm price. Okay, so we'll do that. We'll do Moltor. Oops. Tor. Forge aspect / creation, and then Emberoa. Being warm, cooking, life. Well, I guess creation's kind of in there. Domain of the Hearth fall into this? Maybe. I think yeah, that would kind of fall into that if they had like a minor god of fire. And maybe these are all minor gods, or maybe Leatris manifests as each of these separately. And so there might be minor gods of fire, but maybe they're more like fire elementals or fire angels. And the god of the forge is still kind of in a way Leatris as Moltor, in a sense. Kind of the same thing as the Mikola and Saint Trina. Like there's two completely different sides, or Marika and Radagon, I think. I'm back doing a sketch of Lucian. Epic, epic. Forging is a form of art, but you need fire. Yeah, I think we talked about at the beginning, like the minor gods could be a combination of different gods. So in a way, where art and fire mix, you get steel and the creation of weapons. And so there could be a god of like the forge in a way, which is like the forge of artistry. But I think the flame, the capability of the destruction to create something, like the forge aspect, I feel like is the crucible where you dump everything, all the different metals together, and that force, the fire force to melt all the metals together to then go create, I think comes from Moltor. And then taking the fire, taking the molten, and forging it into something comes from Muvea with artistry. That's how I would envision it, but that's just me. Okay. Luck and Shadows could be God of Thieves. Yeah, 100%. That would be super sick, actually. Because like you play with fire in a way when you're a thief. You have fortune and fate like on two sides of the same coin. You get lucky, you win some, you lose some. You could die doing it. You could go in jail. All these different things. That'd be really cool. Okay. Physical appearance. Female with fire hair. I know that's super overdone. What are we feeling generally? Or is there anything else I'm missing? I'll do a poll in a second. I like the idea of like a phoenix woman potentially be it. Dwarf also could be it. Yeah, like the forge. The dwarf. I guess each of these could manifest differently. Maybe Emberoa is the female with the flaming hair that's like comforting and like can warm a home or a village, and then Moltor is a dwarf whose skin is like volcanic rock, or yeah, dwarven woman whose skin is like volcanic rock and just immune to fire, like type of thing, forged in the flames. And then Cerberus could be, I don't know. They could all be fire dwarves. Huh. One could be ashen with black smoke, burning wood. I don't know. Cerberus could be a two-headed something. True. We also forgot dragons. This could also be a good one for dragons. Uh-oh. Dragon blood. God of Fire should have multiple faces, like Janus. I could see that. I don't know if we do. So what if? Hear me out. Cerberus, dragon female. Moltor, dwarven female. Emberoa, human female, with like fire heads, or potentially, and they all manifest differently. Since that's what we're kind of doing for Lucian, I don't know if I want like two heads on the same person, but I like the idea that they manifest differently depending on which aspect. Could do a three-headed dragon, or yeah, maybe Leatris is depicted as a three-headed dragon with like dragon form, but each of the heads is separate, or like or two would two of the heads be human and dwarf, or is that just a little bit weird? Or does Leatris to be a three-headed dragon, but it can also manifest as a human, a dwarf, or a dragon? I don't know. I don't know. One head for each aspect. Some Trinity, yeah. Three but one. Exactly. Each of them could be a minor god, which becomes one being and therefore became a major god. Also true. I could see the god of fire, because it has three aspects. Oh, maybe these are the ones that get replaced and die. And sometimes they get replaced by others who take the Emberoa form or the Moltor. But then yeah, together when they combine, they're Leatris. And maybe they split physically, so you can have three of them in separate places. But when they come together for a council or for some great fire event, they merge into one and become the three-headed dragon. And not necessarily that each of the heads is different. They're all dragon heads, but they look slightly different. Like one of them is black for Moltor, one of them is orangish or yellow for Emberoa, and then the other one is like a deep red for Cerberus. I'm on board. Let's do that. So this is going to be probably the most complicated to learn. No Phoenix, though. Maybe the Phoenix is the counterpart, or maybe the Phoenixes in the realm are minor gods of fire that represent both the destructive aspect and the creation aspect, where they are born from the flames, kind of thing. So I think Phoenixes would fall under, at least holy Phoenixes, like divine Phoenixes, would fall under minor gods. I think that's what we'll do. Okay, so this is gonna be super complicated. When in singular form, a three-headed dragon. When I think dragon, I'm thinking 4 legs and 2 wings. I don't know the exact name of that is. We're just gonna call it a dragon for now, 3-headed, whatever. Sartoris is a dragon blood female. Like a lava rock. Dwarven female. 100 wings. Or maybe their wings are fire. Maybe it's a 4-legged like dragon that doesn't have wings, and then when it needs to fly, the flames erupt. And the bigger the flames, the faster it can fly, kind of thing. 1,000 burning wings. Yeah, I'm all down for that. Human, female. I know we need some cool dragons. I feel like this combined with Alethius will give us a good, like, the dragons are present. I think all dragons are my major gods, or minor gods at least, right? I think they're rare, they're powerful, and they're divine enough that they, by birth, are just major gods. I think that's got to be it. So, stronger the fire because they catch all the oxygen around. Yeah. Okay, I'm actually loving this. This is really cool. This is super cool. Okay. Female with fire hair. I know that's like super overdone, but like I'm picturing the have you guys seen Fantasia 2000? Fantasia nature spirit. Like this lady, but fire. But not like this one. Not like the evil fire phoenix thing, but like that kind of like flowy fire, like it's almost heavy and like warming and comforting fire aspect. I think that's pretty cool. Emberoa beast dark skinned. Yes, that's why I imagine. Oh wait, no, Emberoa. Oh yeah, yeah, Emberoa boat, lava rock. Yeah, I think any of them. Yeah, they'd be super cool. Okay, I'm liking that. Justice. Let's get justice. Let's get through here. Let's see. Okay, sorry, I was just reading your guys' comments. Let's do justice and do Takarin. I like that one a lot. Remus. That one doesn't have any other implications. I know it comes from Greek, but does it? I guess it's the emperor, right? Remus and Romulus. Or are they emperors? I thought they're brothers, right? Insignia or insignia and other. Okay. I will be right back. I'm just going to fill up my water bottle since my voice is getting shot while you guys vote. All right. Looks like Remus is winning out. Oh, Insignia is tied. Hmm. Should be a concept and be represented by an artifact which wielder becomes a god. I'm not opposed to that. I know the traditional Greek thing for justice is the scale, but I would also be down with each of the justice gods as they get replaced being a different aspect. So one of them could have the scale, and one of them could have the sword, and one of them could have like a hammer, like a gavel. I think all three of those show a different side of justice. Not opposed to any of those. Remus is from a Roman myth. Insignia. Blindfold. Justice is blind. Yeah. Or that true justice holds no, like doesn't need. It's all about, morality, or like they don't need to see. They just need to understand, and the vision of who it is shouldn't affect like the person's status or whatnot. Shouldn't affect, you know. statue concept. Yeah, maybe they could be a statue. That could be really cool. The one with the scale should be Lady Justice. Yeah, that's it's really iconic for like the lady holding the scale. Um, hmm, I don't know, but for a fantasy, for dark fantasy world, really covered in robes. So whatever the Venerants think Justice should look like. Yeah, I'm down with statue though. I think like a construct of some kind, like it just like they're marble in a way. Um, let's do Insignia. I think because Remus is from something else in a way. Put this one in there. Conduit of Justice. Statue of what though? That's a good point. Dwarf. A scale and a gavel. A set of scales. Oh, imagine this. It's someone with the burden of justice as like the scale is on their shoulders, almost like a Sisyphus, where it's like you have the two sides. You either have like one in one side of the scale and the sword in the other or something, and it's like the weight. It's like they're like a statue with like a weight on their shoulders. Atlas, yeah, like an Atlas kind of thing, where it's like you have the weight of justice on your shoulders. You are the head of the court in the realm. Um, Yoke of Justice, yeah, yeah. Let's throw that in there. Yoke of Justice. Similar to Atlas, yeah. Just instead of the world, it'd be something. In one side, a sword, and the other. What's something that mercy? What's something that gives the? What's an object that gives off the appearance of mercy? Justice should have no gender or race, though. Yeah, I think they're raceless because they are a statue. I think disfigured statue, bearing no visage bias, holding the scales on his shoulder. Robed. Oh, wait. We used to say fully robed. You mean like fully robed? So like it covers their face. Like the robe would hang down, so you wouldn't be able to tell if it's male or female. Anything about race or anything. It would just you'd just be able to see the musculature in their shoulders where the drapes hang, and that's it. I think I like that. Yeah, the robes are a veil and also everything. Yeah. Yep. This is good. This is good. Statue. Robes. The Yoke of Justice. Now that has some aura to it. Holy cow. Is that a thing? Is that a thing or did we just make that up? Like, is that. I think it was Halid TR that came up with that mentioned it first in the chat. I don't know if the Yoke of Justice is from something, but that is freaking cool. Oh, yeah. Do you ever get to something in the a flower, a pearl? Just made it up. Goated. Never heard of it, but I like it. Well, now it's from SpireHelm. That's so cool. Sounds real for me. Yeah, Yoke of Justice is absolute banger. Flower could be mercy. Justice should not be fair because it's dark fantasy. That's true. It might not be fair, but I think the appearance is that it should be fair. I don't think the God of Justice is always fair, but it could be. This one, I could see this one being the one that everyone who becomes the God of Justice has to take the name Insignia and has to become. They have to take the Yoke of Justice. They deny their identity because it would be biased otherwise. And so, whether or not they keep their bias or not, visually to the public, they need to show that they are willing to give up whatever. And then people's memories are maybe wiped of who it used to be. Something like that. A key. I could see a key. Oh, so maybe not a sword. Maybe shackles and a key are the I think I like that better. Shackles and the other a key. That is so cool. Colossal. Yeah, maybe this one's even bigger. This one's like 15, 12, 15 feet tall. Yeah. And if we really want to play into like the dark fantasy, like a little bit grim, the I don't know. I think the yoke works. Like it's kind of attached to them. Um, Insignia I like, but for this type of heavy, really dense, like kind of not morbid kind of feel, I think we could go with a darker name than Insignia at some point. Um, but Takaran, we did not use Takaran for something else. I don't know. Do we feel like the name is good, or do we want to make the name darker or more heavy or something more related to justice? What do you guys think? Takaran does have weight. Or we could just name it Justice, but because if they're gonna deny their, they could just have no name other than Justice. Insignia fits better for Justice. The Statue of Justice. Nomos. Anon. Nameless God. Could work. They have no name. Consequence. We can stick with Insignia for now. We'll stick with Insignia, I think. Okay, everybody's favorite, God of Shadows. Okay, so we didn't go with Remulus, or Remus, so we could do Romulus here. Nomos is a Greek root for law. Don't hate Nomos. Nomos could be cool. Does feel a little bit more heavy. Anyways, let's do God of Shadow for now. See if we can get through these in 45 more minutes. Yeah. Romulus. Is Shadow bad? Not inherently. We kind of have a little headcanon where Shadow is the likeliest one to turn away from the Venerants and towards the Dark One. Just being in that position tempts you for more power, and if that happens, you could either become a god for the Dark One for a time, or you'd be killed by the Venerants and then be replaced. So, Void, yeah, we'd have Void and Opus if we did Void for the God of Shadows. You got a Void and Opus both canonized in here. Okay, Vareth and other. I think this one also, the God of Shadows might also not manifest in to any physical form. It would be a little bit cheesy for it to be like Bob from uh, that Marvel movie. Gosh, forget their name. Thunderbolts, right? Is that the one where it's just like a void with like two little eyes? It could be cool. I don't know if I, or if they're just they wear a black robe and you can't see their face, more like a Jawa. Other. Okay, we're going other. I think other's winning by quite a bit. Okay, so let's do some other ones. So we got Donok or Dinok. Donok or Dinok? Dinok. Remus feels mischievous. I will do Novox. I like the guy from Adventure Time. Tyrannus. Feels a little bit like Darth Tyrannus, like Tyranny, but Skeda. Spidus. I like Spidus. Spidus. Null. Abscon. They could be a shadow on the ground. You can't even see the physical form. That'd be kind of crazy. Econ of Stone, yes, we've considered that. I think that's what a few of them will be like. Insignia, not insignia, is going to be that way, where like you take that name upon you no matter what. But not all of them, I think. Okay, let's try this one. Let's do this. Go ahead and vote there. Umbra's not bad. It's a little too classic, I think. It's a little too simple, but Null, Novox. Ooh, neck and neck. Null or Novox. Corvus or Corvus. I think we decided that the God of Shadows might be accompanied by maybe either a murder of crows or a singular crow. Null feels on the nose. I'm kind of leaning towards Null, but Novox is winning. Null feels very, like, to the point. It's there. Novox does feel a little bit too sci-fi. Yeah, I can see that. I might Nullvox combo name. I might just executive decision this one and go with Null, even though it's losing by like 3%. Just like 2 or 3 votes, I think. I think we go. Oh, they were tied there for a second. Oh, people are switching. People are switching up. It's tied. Okay, if I end the poll while it's tied, I get the ultimate decision. There we go. Let's do that. So, Conduit of Shadows. Okay. Do we like the idea of a hooded figure or a void shadow like Bob from Thunderbolts? Or you can only see the shadow, so in the darkness they can move freely without being seen at all, because if there's no light, then you can't see them. What do you think? Invisible with a shadow? Silhouette, only shadow? Shadow only? But there's nothing to cast a shadow? Okay. I think I like that one. I think it's unique. It's not hasn't appeared anywhere in fiction that I know of. Not yet. So, like, the void would be too close to Bob, I think. So, no physical form, just shadow. Does this person have a voice? I think Insignia might also not have a voice. They can only either use sign language or like mannerisms to like show what happens. Yes, but it just whispers in your ear. That's banger. Everything they say sounds like it's someone inside your head, like that, like the whispers of like the ring wraiths, you know. In that would be crazy. It doesn't matter if you're 100 meters away or right next to your face. It sounds like they're whispering in your ear. That'd be super cool. And it's like 100 different voices. It sounds like, you know. I like that. I like that. Okay, and I think this one is one of those as well, where when you become the God of Shadows, you accept this form, and maybe we keep the name too for this one. I'd be okay with different names for different Gods of Shadows as they die and are replaced. Yeah, who said that? Who said that whisper? Wait. AJ Coronado, you are the GOAT. That is so cool. I think the name could change. Yeah, that'd be cool. Okay. Voice like sounds and out of the distance. That is super cool. This project has me nerding out. Welcome. That's the whole point. The Venerants take their identity. Yeah, I like the idea that at least your identity is gone. Obviously, you have no physical. You probably have a physical form. I think this person can interact with the world, but they have no shadow. So you could punch someone, you could punch this person or bump into this person, but they are 100% invisible other than their shadow, I think. And obviously, this person would have the power to jump between shadows. So you could have them like, I imagine like a conversation between two of the major gods, and they're like discussing, and this one's they're disagreeing, and they're like in some giant, you know, judge pantheon like dome thing, and there's like pillars and shadow, and they walk into one, and their voice is coming from inside their head, so they can't tell where they're going, and then they're just up on a balcony, and they walk into another shadow, and then they're like down below again, and like, you know, just walking in and out of shadows at will would be really, really cool. I could definitely see that. Could the current null have been an elf before now? Yeah, I could see that, like a dark elf of some kind. Maybe they can pretend to be your shadow too. That could be cool. They could like manipulate the shadow, so like as you're standing, your shadow starts to move, and it's just them, and then they like can give it back, kind of thing. Secrets, clandestine things, as they are done in shadows. Yeah, yeah. So shadows goes over secrets. I think we had a few other things. I think I might have deleted them. Whoops. But yeah, secrets and whatnot. Eat a soul by stealing their shadow. Yeah. Did I spell secrets wrong? Oh, I think I just put an extra letter in there somewhere. Secrets. And becoming the shadow is how they talk to you. Could be really cool. Like shadows might be an inversive or opposite to wisdom in this regard. Lies versus truth. Yeah, I think lies goes under shadow. Trickery. Yeah. Trickery, subterfuge. Null should be one of the gods that just never died. I could see Null being one of the oldest gods because he's nearly formless. Like you can't even tell where they are, and they could just leave at any point. So I could see them being the one that's like, even the Venerants have a hard time getting rid of him because he's so hard to find. The shadows of SpireHelm are so enormous that even the Venerants can't find where they are because they're so, I could see that. But I also like the idea of them being the most tempted and the ones that fall the fastest is the god of shadows, but they're like necessary because the world is the god of shadows, and the shadows of SpireHelm is what keeps the world like at peace. Like it's almost a contradiction. Like the Venerants need the god of shadow to exist, but they also know that they're the most susceptible to being influenced. I can see that. So we'll leave that one there for now. If we need like something really messiest god who's got all the gossip because he's in everyone's shadow. Yeah, he's probably the one that like you wouldn't even know. Like if you're one of the other gods and you're talking with another god about something, there's like a 50% chance that he's just there listening because he can just travel from any shadow to the entire world. He might be the fastest of all the gods because he can go anywhere. So yeah, I don't know if he knows everything, but he knows everything that shouldn't be known. He knows everything that people are trying to keep hidden. I think that's the difference between him and the wizard, or the god of knowledge. The conduit of knowledge is that knowledge knows everything that is known, that has been known, and the conduit of shadows knows everything that shouldn't be known. I think I like that. Shouldn't be known. This is banger, guys. We're hooking. This is a filet mignon. Okay. Passion. Serathis. Oh yeah, I think he's male. But well, I guess not really, because well, I think you'd refer to him as he. But the voices are everyone's voice, so it's kind of yeah, kind of everything. Seraphis. Okay, let's do. And we've got what, 2 left? 3 left? Passion, nature, dreams. Okay, let's see if we can get through these quickly. Been here for a while, but Seraphis. Yeah, I think Shadow God as well. People might refer to him as male, female, or neither. I think that could be something that just depends on the person and how they feel in the given time, and maybe how they feel the God of Shadow is manifesting to them. Like it could, I think everybody refers to it differently. Seraphis and Andromeda. 24-hour stream when? Yeah, imagine. I could talk about this forever probably at this rate. We got so much we could build. We could do like a 48-hour stream. Other. Let's do. Okay. Passion. And we decided this one is both male and female, or androgynous. Which one did we decide? I don't remember. Like that has 2 sides, like 2 different types of passion, or that it's one that manifests in 2 ways. I don't really. I'm fine either way. Both male and female. 2 separate, like both. You mean like 2 separate, or neither? I guess is the question. I'm also Irish. Serethis. Okay, Serethis is winning. Let's do that. Both at once. Okay, I like that. Slanesh situation. Yeah, that's kind of what I picture is Slanesh. Like Slanesh is more about giving in to the passion and the lust and all sorts of deranged things. But I think Serethis, in a similar way, could be kind of dope. Like, yeah, both at once, whichever's convenient. Yeah. And I think because of that, do we also choose a changeling type, like a their form? They have the best ability to morph their form and figure, because passion, I guess it's more about trickery. Passion can have two different sides to it. It can have love, but it can also have vengeance and hate. So, do we have multiple races as well? Artistry is ever changing, though. Yes, you're right. Where did artistry? Ever changing human form. So that one's also both. So they're fairly similar, I guess, in that aspect. The God of Goon. Um, every emotion. Yeah, passion pretty much encompasses every emotion to the 100th degree. Right. So yeah. So every emotion to its fullest extent is would be under the God of Passion, whether it's love, hate, vengeance, fear, all of that can be put under passion. Should artistry and passion merge? No, but I think where artistry and passion do merge, you find minor gods that do both. Okay. We need to get to race. What are they? Human? Everything? Nothing? Are they the most? Because the artist is the ever-changing human form. Does the Serethis have an ever-changing race form? Like anything, not just humans? Different forms depending on the emotion. I like that. Depending on the emotion. I like that one a lot. Oh, also, Conduit of Crows, is he accompanied by a murder of crows? Or Conduit of Shadows? Accompanied by a murder of crows, or are we leaving crows out of it? Is that too stereotypical? Changeling is also, I guess Changeling in Star Wars too. I think Changeling is kind of universal. Ravens, yes. Could be a Raven too. Crows. We'll do that. Yeah, I thought about the stealth aspect. Oh sorry, one second. I'm just putting my camera. I thought about the stealth aspect being like, oh, but if he's accompanied by a murder of crows, then how does he stay stealthy? Um, my counter to that point would be that the crows can also manifest in shadow. So imagine you're in your study, you're talking with another god, and you turn and you realize that open on one of your pages of your book is a depiction of a raven, and you didn't even know that it was open on that page, but somewhere a raven will appear, and those who are really perceptive might see it and be like, "Why are you reading about ravens?" I'm like, "Oh, I thought I don't know, I just had that book open." It's like you realize he's here right now, you know, like that could be kind of a cool, like the limit of his power is like those that are really perceptive can see like, he's there, but those that aren't will just over their head and they'll miss it. Yeah. Okay. I like that. I like that. Whoops. Okay. Two more. Nature. Oh my gosh, we got a lot. A lot. Um, I think Thelga was on the top of the list. Just spam some off of your favorites, and I'll put in the top four that I can see. They're kind of Cronog. nature. Thelga, Velaki. What, I don't know how to pronounce that. Drow. Fae is going to be the species, the race. Let's do Cranoag. That's the one I've seen the most of. Cranoag? 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 Let's do that. Get your boats, get your boats. Let's see it. Cranoag. Okay. Is that how you pronounce it? Cranoag. Like toad. Toad. Cranoag. Or Cranoag. Or Cranoag. Cranoag. Cranag. Okay. Either way. I don't know. Thelga's winning out though. Thelga's winning by like 5% to Cranog right now. Cranaug. Thelga should be a muscle mommy. I like that. Well, we also talked about it being a fairy of sorts. Yeah, let's go with Thelga. We've held on that one for long enough. Okay. Thelga. Conduit of nature. So we originally talked about a fairy, but it could be a big fairy. So a big fairy could be the human size, or we could keep it a small fairy, and it's like the one god that doesn't manifest in like a huge form. It could be like a small one. Okay, for this one, fairies are very nature-like. Yeah, and they connect in all ways. And I think Thelga would probably be the most kind, probably, of all of the major gods. Even more kind than Lithius, even more kind than Emberoa, I think, from Fire. Because there's also an aspect of Emberoa that is Sargeras and Moltor. I would imagine this is like the most caring, the most natural, a little bit hippie, but like, you know, everything is to be cared for. And in a lot of ways, yeah, life, I think, life force of nature, elements, I think also fall under it. Least caring, yeah. Yeah, in some ways nature can be brutal. That is true. But I think the brutal parts of nature come from the other aspects, which is like, you know, shadows, justice, fire. Nature, I think, is more about life. So I think we do fairy. I really like the one from Fantasia, but I think that's a little bit too interesting. She could be a dual goddess. Do we let's do a poll. Let's do a poll really quick. Just in case. Okay. Small fae because she cares for big and small. Tree lady, yeah. Willow goddess. Okay. Focus on life is winning by quite a bit. So let's do that. We could change it to the life, but I think conduit of nature implies that the natural living world, not nature as in also the elements and the science behind, like, you know, storms and fire and stuff. I don't think that counts as nature. So I think when people hear nature, they're going to think life. I don't think that's too contradictory. Yeah, we'll do a little fairy. I think she's the only goddess that manifests small. The other gods become greater. Maybe Shadow stays about the same size, but I think this is the only one that stays, like, we're talking 3 to 5 inches, and can kind of like zip around and fly, like kind of Tinkerbell, kind of Spren style from Brandon Sanderson a little bit. Yeah, I think she also touches on, yeah, cycle of life, death, decay, and birth. I think like fungus would also fall under her thing. Like she could even wear like a little mushroom hat type of thing. Yeah, I think they're pretty fair. And I think a lot of her minor gods are also fairies. Like all the fairies in the land are like, they all have different aspects. So the different forest fairies that you guys create could be 100% different aspects of nature. Life, death, decay. You have a fungus fairy that are all basically toad shrooms from Mario. Like they would all fall under this, this god. Okay. Let's do this. She's big on recycling? Yeah. Yeah. She yells at Alythius if they don't recycle properly. Last one. Wonder and dreams. We have Noctura. Do we like Noctura or do we go with something else? Noctura. Other. Wonder. Dreams. This one's a puppet. We're set on that. And I think, do we do female puppet, male puppet? Neither, just a humanoid puppet with no features. Noctura winning by 90%. Wow. Okay. Puppet that holds its own strings. I'm trying to think. I think your arms would have to go up. My first thought is like Ronnie from Elden Ring, but female puppet, multi-arms. I could see that. Multi-arm puppet does get close to Ronnie once again, but I'm not opposed to it. Oops, that's the wrong one. Also, I imagine this one is also fairly small. Maybe not tiny, like fairy size, but do you Conduit of Wonder or Conduit of Dreams? Just spam in the chat, whichever one you think is one huge eye. Interesting. Group of puppets all linked to each other. Dreams, dreams, wonder. Kind of big for puppet. Dreams, dreams, wonder. Uh-oh, they're pretty even. Wonder, dreams, 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 wonder, dreams. Okay, we're getting more dreams than we are wonder. So let's do dreams. And I think when you dream, you also wonder as well. So wonder, longing, curiosity, I think also falls into this. And then we'll do female puppet. I think we'll decide later whether it's four-armed or not. I think it'd be a traditional puppet, maybe with like, instead of a like the steampunk Pinocchio puppets that would have like rigid, stiff dresses, maybe it's like a long flowing silk dress that goes like beyond her feet. So like she floats around on like invisible strings and like into your dreams and out, and it's like just this long, like you see one single ripple and it goes for like 10 or 15 feet as the silk like just holds itself in the air, and like almost like she's swimming through like jello in a way. And then she's made of some type of material, probably wood, I'd imagine. Wood puppet. Wood and cloth. With an extra long, flowy silk dress. Okay. I think that's a really, really good start to the 12. That is some awesome stuff. Does that show up in here? Yeah, it does. Holy cow. So let's just run through them really quick for everyone who wasn't here for the full part. We went through and aside from Alythius, we went through and decided which of the 12 gods are the most important. So there's only 12 major gods at any given time, but if the Venerants decide that one of them becomes more important than the other, they can either rank them up. So if you look at the spires of SpireHelm beneath my face right here, there's the big one at the top, which is Alythius and the King, which has always been in the last age of light. The Conduit of Light has always been the King. Could change, but up until now, it's always been the Conduit of Light. And then the next two, the two on the perfect side, I think are the next biggest. We'll arrange them as we go, but for now, there's bigger and lesser, and their influence is decided differently. And as certain gods die and are killed by the Venerants through fate, it doesn't let the Venerants come down and slay them, but through some form. If they're killed, it's assumed that if their time was up and the Venerants wanted something new. And then they can be replaced by other aspects, like the ones we didn't get to, like sky and the cosmos and trade and history. But as of right now, in the year 4600, when Chapter 1 is happening, we have these Venerants, these major gods. Aletheus, the conduit of light and protection. Protection comes because he is also the king, so that's his second conduit. He is a dragon folk of dragon blood with golden scales. We have Lucian, who's the conduit of fate and fortune, luck, misfortune, inevitability. He is a gnome who manifests as Lucian, an old man, for good luck, and Lucius, a young man gnome, for bad luck. We've got Miris, the conduit of magic, which is a fairy young woman. That's about all we have for her. Tauron, the conduit of war. This is what we are calling an Anthratar, which is a body of a bull, chest and head of a man with bull horns of enormous scale. This is probably the biggest of all the major gods, I would imagine, just based on the size. Who wanted him to be a gnome? IDK. Oh, should we change him to a human? Let's do a quick poll. Last second poll. Just that we didn't get any halflings in there, so I figured it'd be cool to have at least one, but I'm not going to be butthurt if we don't. I am totally cool with whatever. No human. Okay, human's winning out. Okay. So yeah, we'll go with human. Kind of like a Loki type. Oh man, I can't spell. Okay. Miris, Tauron, conduit of war. Ithriel, the conduit of knowledge. This is an old elf male and will always look like an old elf male, although they'll look slightly different as they die and come back. This is one of the longest standing. This is probably the second most important of the major gods to the Venerants because of the aspects of the archive and their mission. So this is an old elf male, and their nameless owl of wisdom, who is a giant silver great horned owl, transfers all the knowledge and wisdom from the last however many conduits of knowledge there have been and gives it to the new one, basically nearly killing them, and then they come back as a frail old man, however, with enormous, unfathomable amounts of knowledge. Okay, we've got Mubea, conduit of artistry, an ever-changing human form, doesn't look, at some points look male, female, every race, every look possible, because it's just a manifestation of human creativity and human creation. We got Leatris, the conduit of fire. So in a singular form, it is a full dragon with 3 heads. We have a red head, a black, and an orange. They each represent these different things. And then, or maybe not black, but like a gray, like a molten rock type of feel, like a lava rock gray. But it can split itself into 3 distinct beings, which are Surturus, the destructive aspect, which is a dragon blood female, red. We have Moltor, which is the forge and creation aspect, which is lava rock dwarf, like the skin of the dwarf is like a lava rock female. And then we have Emberoa, which is like warmth, cooking, granting of like sustaining of life through fire, which is like a black female, but manifested in like orange, like she's made of a warm, soft flame. Artistry and passion should be blood siblings and always picked together. That could be cool. Insignia, arguably the coolest one. We got a statue fully covered head to toe in marbled robes, so you can't see the figure underneath. You can only see heavy, muscular shoulders. Male or female, we don't know. Race, we don't know. It's most likely human-ish. On their shoulder, they hold the yoke of justice, which in one side holds shackles. It's like the scale on their shoulders. On the one side, it has shackles, and then the other a key to balance out the justice and mercy system of the law. And the name is passed down when the new insignia takes the place of the last. They drop their identity and they become insignia for the rest of their life. We got Null, conduit of shadows, no physical form, so it's literally nothing, but just there's a shadow on the ground, and the shadow can travel between different places. Voice sounds like 1,000 whispers in your mind, no matter which distance, no matter how far away you are. The god of secrets, lies, trickery, and they know all that shouldn't be known. So anything that's trying to be hidden, there's a good chance they know. Like, obviously, this is the myth. The myth is that they know all they shouldn't know. Doesn't necessarily mean that 100% they know everything that shouldn't be known. but that's what the people believe about them. Accompanied by a murder of crows that can also manifest in other forms, i.e. drawings, shadows, clouds, etc. So if you see a crow, there's a good people at least believe, once again, this is what the people believe of the realm. They believe that the god of shadows is somewhere around listening to them. And especially if you're trying to tell something secret and you see a god or you see the crow, you know you've been caught. So that's that. They're probably the most likely to be tempted by the dark one. I can put that in here. Likely to be tempted by TDO. I'll put that in here. The dark one. Wow, I keep tapping everything. Okay, Cerathis, conduit passion, both male and female at once, whichever is most convenient, and same with race, depending on the emotions. So they're kind of a changeling, look like whatever they want. Thelga, conduit of nature, is a small fairy female, and she thrives off the circle of life, death, decay, birth, etc. And lastly, Noctera, the conduit of dreams, so wonder, longing, curiosity, and she is a female and wood and cloth puppet with an extra long flowy silk dress, and she can kind of swim through the dreams and wonders and curiosity of those in the realm. Okay, let me move this up to here, because that is up to you guys to decide whatever you would like, and I'll make this look a little bit better in the future. This is just an outline right now, but now we have this. We have this. Congratulations, guys, we did it. We made the full pantheon that we need for the major gods, and now all of your minor gods can fit into one of these categories, which should be awesome. And for anyone who missed it at the beginning of the stream, we went over realm events. These are the second tab. This is new, and the canon doc. You should read it. Basically, every few weeks or so to a month, we are going to do like a group prompt. Everybody gets the same prompt, and you get to write about a different aspect of it. So this one is about the advent of the death storms returning to the land that people thought were legend and fake, now returning, and people are like, this is a really bad sign, or I don't believe it outright. I think the Age of Light is going to go forever, and whatever. So you have these 3 different prompts about either the reality of the death storms, the growth and darkness of a changing realm, or the abandonment that people feel of their gods, at least the minor gods that they worship. Maybe not the greater ones, but they feel like what they used to be getting is changing, and that they're not getting it all. So run with that for as long as you want right now. I have chapter 2 scheduled about for the 28th or 29th of October, so that we can get some horror aspects in there for Halloween weekend. I think it'd be really fun. But yeah, thanks a lot, guys. This was awesome. We got a ton done, stuff that would have taken me probably forever to get. And like, I love this back and forth we can do. We can do polls. It still feels like we're doing it as a community and building it together, and it's not just me. But I'm really loving this. So yeah, I'd say go crazy with chapter 1. Once again, we have a new Discord channel for realm events. Tag it. I think it's mandatory that you use a tag. So whichever prompt you choose that tag. If you choose a different prompt that's not here and you make your own, you don't necessarily need to write it. You can if you want. Just use the 1.0 tag in there. So yeah, thanks a ton. I think that's about it for me, but I'll be in the Discord on and off today answering questions if you guys have them. Shoot them in the either server questions or whatnot, whatever you need. But yeah, thanks a ton, and may Aletheus's light guide you, I suppose, or whichever of the major gods you would like to worship. Just be careful about which one is he, Lucian or Lucius. I'll give you some bad luck. Okay, guys, I'll see you later. Thanks so much.